Chapter 104. Duchess Ding, who was full of confidence, looked different. Her back was straight, her face was full of glory, and she was in high spirits. Naturally, she became more attentive to the people from the Luo family. She even specially told her son not to neglect her son-in-law. Although Duchess Ding's change seemed snobbish, at least 9 out of 10 people were like this. Naturally, you couldn't say anything about her. Moreover, today was a happy day, so Sun Yilin just smiled. The 100 birds worshipping the phoenix painting was appreciated by the male guests, and most people were not allowed to touch it at all. If Duchess Ding was happy, how could Duke Ding not be happy? His son-in-law had such a long face. He responded to other people's compliments, real or fake, with a smile on his face. At this time, he naturally didn't bother to care about what they thought. When Sun Yilin came over with Luo Jinghua, a group of people surrounded them. Compliments such as young talent and the younger generation will surpass us in time were thrown at Luo Jinghua as if they didn't cost money. Duke Dinghua looked on coldly. He could see that some people were deliberately trying to put his son-in-law on a pedestal. Although it was not obvious now, it was inevitable that young people would become arrogant after hearing too many compliments. Gradually, their arrogance might rise to the sky and they would become arrogant. Then, no matter how famous they were at the beginning, they might be stigmatized by then. Their intentions were really vicious. Most of these people were just related by marriage. Even if they were from the same family, they couldn't be asked to be loyal to their own family. Not to mention that now there was an unfilial son who was bent on taking power from him. Naturally, there were also many people who were loyal to the empress. Like Li Hongyi, they also included the Luo family in the scope of their faction. Luo Jinghua's current momentum was particularly favorable to them. Seeing these people with ulterior motives, they couldn't help but frown. Therefore, they poured cold water on those who were full of praise at the right time, telling Luo Jinghua not to be complacent and to continue to work hard. Luo Jinghua only smiled and responded to the compliments with a few words. He didn't take them seriously, but he humbly and respectfully accepted the words that pointed out his shortcomings. His attitude made Duke Dinghua and the others feel that their worries were in vain. Their evaluation of Luo Jinghua in their hearts became higher and higher. Good, good. He is neither arrogant nor impetuous. With such a calm temperament, he is enough to take on great responsibilities. If Luo Jinghua was a thick-skinned person, he would probably be cocky right now. Unfortunately, he wasn't. And if he was, this honor wouldn't have fallen on his head in the first place. Knowing that all this actually belonged to his little sister, he couldn't be proud. The more others said good things about him, the more guilty he felt. The higher others praised him, the more humble he felt. If someone really poured cold water on him, he would be eager to pour more cold water on him. For others, it was a good job, but for him, it was a hard job. However, his little sister was wholeheartedly doing it for him and his future wife. Therefore, even if he felt uncomfortable, he had to hold on. Therefore, on one hand, he was happy. On the other hand, he was distressed. Sun Yilin, who had been overshadowed by his brother-in-law, looked at him with a smile. In his opinion, he was worthy of being Miss Luo's brother. Although he was not as calm as Miss Luo, his temperament was really rare. He looked at the painting. The more he looked at it, the more exquisite he felt it was, especially the color mix. He believed that today's sacred master might not be able to reach this level. It not only required patience, but also extraordinary care. Thinking of this, Sun Yilin's face suddenly had a subtle expression. His brother-in-law was free and easy, not bothering about trifles or even careless. He might be patient, but how come he couldn't see his care? He shook his head. As the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe he was the kind of person who was especially careful in a certain aspect. Yilin, looking at this 100 birds worshipping the phoenix painting. You have a strange expression, and you're shaking your head. Why, do you have any thoughts? Sun Yilin suddenly opened his mouth and said, because these words were too sudden and his voice was not low, it naturally attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Could it be that this young Master Lin was feeling uncomfortable? One had to know that this 100 birds worshipping the phoenix painting was the first meticulous brush painting to be released to the world. Even if it was a painting expert, they would at most comment on some of the basic painting techniques. More than that, they really couldn't say. If you don't know or have never come into contact with something, what right do you have to comment on it? Sun Yilin looked at Sun Yilin indifferently. Sun Yilin was really thinking of slandering him all the time. Big brother, you're thinking too much. I'm just thinking that this is a betrothal gift for my younger sister. She hasn't even had time to take a look at it. It was not a problem to say that this was a betrothal gift for the bride's family. It was also possible to say that it was a betrothal gift for the bride's family. It was not that no one had embezzled all the betrothal gifts given by the bride's family and used it for other purposes. However, that was only because the bride's family was really poor or a group of shameless people. But as long as the family had some dignity, they would not withhold the betrothal gifts from the bride's family. Of course, it didn't matter to them if the bride's family was ordinary, but the precious ones basically had to be returned. Moreover, a family like Ding General Manor would break the spine of the empress if they withheld this painting. When Sun Yilin saw this painting, it was not that he didn't think of withholding it, but it was just a thought. He really didn't dare to be so thick-skinned. But even if he knew that, now that Sun Yilin mentioned it in public, he was still very unhappy. Father, I think there are too many people today. It's really not a good time to appreciate the painting. It's better to send the painting to my younger sister first. Then we should take advantage of this opportunity to ask brother-in-law for advice. If he can show us his painting method now, wouldn't it be better? Sun Yilin suggested with a faint smile. Many people immediately agreed with Sun Yilin's suggestion. This was the prospective bridegroom. After all, he would be very busy for a period of time. If they didn't take advantage of this opportunity to see him, they would have to wait until he finished his work for a while. For those who were interested in painting, this period of time was definitely a trial. Therefore, the painting was rolled up and sent to Sun Yijia. At the same time, people quickly prepared brushes, ink, paper, inkstone, and paints for Luo Jinghua. With so many people watching, it was naturally difficult to refuse. Luo Jinghua thought about how his younger sister taught him. So he also demonstrated in the same way and explained to them. Then Luo Jinghua, who was picky with his younger sister's hundreds of kinds of semi-finished pigments, looked down on these ready-made pigments, which were far inferior to his own. Even if he mixed them himself, they were not so rich in color, and they couldn't reach his effect. Sure enough, his younger sister was the best. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Sun Yilin saw his slightly hesitant action. No, it's just that the color is too little. At this moment, Luo Jinghua's thick nerves were undoubtedly revealed. Sun Yilin was also a person who loved painting. He thought that the pigments in Duke Dinghua's mansion should be the most complete in the world. Listening to his brother-in-law's tone, it seemed that he didn't take it seriously at all. But thinking of that painting, he might really have too few things here. Does brother-in-law have a lot of pigments in his hands? Yes, my younger sister has a lot of pigments in her hands. She never uses these ready-made pigments. She makes them by herself, and many of them are semi-finished. When they are used and made on the spot, the colors are very rich. To be honest, my younger sister has a lot to do with the completion of the painting of all birds worshipping the phoenix. If I only used the pigments I used before, this painting would definitely not achieve such an effect. Among them, there were also people who had attended Great Elder Princess's birthday banquet. They were very impressed by the amazing little girl, so they couldn't help nodding. Both brother and sister should not be underestimated. Sun Yilin keenly found that Luo Jinghua was slightly relieved. He narrowed his eyes slightly, but said nothing. Luo Jinghua quickly used a few colors to create a new color. Those who usually knew how to mix 2 or 3 colors gained a lot of insight, not to mention those who only knew how to paint with a single color. He was indeed someone who could create a new way of painting. Therefore, during this time, Jingwan wasn't the only one who helped Luo Jinghua adjust his appearance. Luo Jinghua himself also put in a lot of effort. When the painting was sent to Sun Ijia, there were still many people around her. They all wanted to take the opportunity to see this masterpiece of fine brushwork. Listening to the maid's praises from outside, they didn't know whether they were exaggerating or not. The people around her couldn't wait to urge Sun Ijia to open it. Although Sun Ijia was still excited, she calmed down a lot compared with the beginning. She wanted to ask the maids to help her, but someone volunteered to do it and even tried to snatch it. Sun Ijia was worried that it would be damaged, so she subconsciously let go of it, and it was snatched away by someone. At that moment, Sun Ijia's heart even became violent. In the past, who had the courage to snatch things from her hands? Sure enough, they would be trampled on if they were disfigured. Sure enough, she was in a good mood these 2 days and didn't flip out. Did they think she was a pushover? The painting had been opened, and the people who saw it were all silent. Compared to the free and easy style of freehand painting, they naturally preferred this kind of exquisite and delicate painting. They were almost immediately fascinated. It's really well painted. However, thinking of the words that came from outside before, it represented Luo Jinggua's friendship with Sun Ijia. Was this phoenix representing Sun Ijia? And Luo Jinggua was actually one of the hundreds of birds that admired her and worshipped her? This made many people's hearts become filled with jealousy. How could a disfigured slut be worthy? It was just for the sake of Duke Dinggua's mansion. But why couldn't it be them? Why couldn't they meet such a person? Little sister, you have to be careful. If you tear this painting, Father will ask you to pay with your life. Sun Ijia suddenly said coldly. Only then did everyone notice that a corner of the painting was being held in the hands of one of Sun Ijia's stepsisters. The edges were a little wrinkled. The movements of her hands and her eyes were red with jealousy and hatred. It was obvious that she wanted to tear the painting apart. It was none other than the woman who had picked a fight with Sun Ijia on the day when Sun Yilin was drunk, but she was slapped in the face. The woman was shocked and quickly let go of her hand. I'm not. The curtain at the door was lifted, and Duchess Ding walked in with a cold face. The people gathered around hurriedly made way. The painting was placed on the table. Because it was unfolded, a part of it hung down. Sun Ijia hurriedly went forward and rolled the painting up with the help of the wet nurse. She touched the wrinkled and small part of the painting, and her heart ached. When Duchess Ding saw this, her eyes instantly turned cold. She took 2 steps forward and slapped her. Lowly be *tch, you can't bear to see your legitimate sister live a good life. If you really tear it apart, don't say that the Duke won't spare you. I'll skin you alive. The Duke said that for the sake of Ijia's good life, he lifted your curfew. I shouldn't be soft-hearted. Men, drag this lowly spawn back to her courtyard for me. Dismiss all the servants and lock the courtyard door for me. Only then did the woman feel afraid. She didn't dare to deny it and only hurriedly begged for mercy. Madam, I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please spare me this time. I won't dare to do it again next time. I won't dare to do it again. You still want to do it again? Think about whether you can walk out of the courtyard alive first. Shut your mouth. Duchess Ding's ruthlessness made the others choke. Duchess Ding wasn't like this in the past. Did she not even care about her reputation? However, they didn't dare to say a word about Duchess Ding's behavior. Sun Ijia coldly looked at this group of sisters who were trembling in fear because of her mother, and carefully put the painting back into the brocade box. Mother, today is indeed a good day. We should be happy. Duchess Ding's expression eased a little. Get out of here. Are you waiting for me to invite you one by one? The crowd rushed to the door like a tide, not even bothering with basic etiquette. In an instant, only the mother and daughter and a few servants were left in the room. Duchess Ding's anger couldn't be appeased. Mother, don't be angry. In fact, I agree with what Sister Wan said. Why don't we judge them 20 years later? Today, they are jealous that I will marry a good husband and curse me to have all kinds of misfortunes after marriage. But I believe that 20 years later, they will be even more jealous. I will live better than any of them, sweeter on the outside and sweeter on the inside. Mother was worried that you would be wronged. It seems that I worried for nothing. Go back to your own courtyard. You have to take good care of this painting. If someone wants to steal it, it will be damaged or lost. At that time, you can cry by yourself. Mother, don't worry. Anything can be lost or damaged, but this painting is impossible. Look at you. I'm afraid that your heart has already flown away. Sure enough, a grown girl can't be kept at home. Duchess Ding came back from Great Elder Princess's birthday banquet. In fact, her daughter was very fond of the boy of the Luo family. Well, I don't want to care about you. As long as you are happy, it's enough. I didn't let you down. Duchess Ding inexplicably felt a little sad. Mother, okay. Go back. I'm still busy. Duchess Ding wiped the corner of her eyes with a brocade handkerchief and left. However, as soon as she returned to her courtyard, she was summoned by someone sent by her grandmother. Old Madam Sun became more and more secluded. She didn't even attend Great Elder Princess's birthday banquet. Now she called Sun Yijia over and didn't say too much. She just told her that it should be her blessing to marry into the Luo family in the end. She told her to live a good life and cherish her fortune in the future. Then she took out a jewelry box and said, I have nothing to give you. Just this last thing at the bottom of the box. Take it. Grandmother, I can't take it. Just take it. I'm in the backyard. How can they let me be cold and hungry? Grandmother, Sister Jia, you are a good girl. Although you have suffered some hardships, it's actually not a big deal. You haven't tasted real bitterness. I also hope that you won't taste it in your life. Sun Yijia snuggled up to old Madam Sun and didn't speak. Sure enough, as expected, in less than 2 hours, the news that Luo Jinghua, the third son of the Luo family, created a new painting method was spread. Among the scholars, especially those who loved painting, it caused a lot of response. However, when the painting appeared, some people thought that he was a man of temperament, some thought that he was hypocritical, and some thought that it was a disgrace to painting. In short, it was talked about enthusiastically. Of course, there were also those who thought that they were noble, but pedantic. They scolded him that he was just a child who dared to claim to have created a painting method. He was simply ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. This kind of person was simply ruining the reputation of painting. Of course, these discussions didn't reach Luo Jinghua's ears. However, even if they did, he probably wouldn't care. Every time a new thing appeared, there would always be some good or bad comments in the process of being accepted by others. Not only did his grandfather and father say this to him, but his little sister also said this to him. What he needed to do was to keep a calm mind. In the Qi Yuan dynasty, the imperial examinations didn't belong to the Ministry of Rites. Instead, they belonged to the most powerful Ministry of Personnel. Otherwise, the Ministry of Rites wouldn't have such a low status. In the Qi Yuan dynasty, it was ranked last among the 6 ministries. Therefore, Luo Peishan was relatively idle. After the morning court, he looked very leisurely. As soon as Luo Peishan left the palace, he was stopped by someone. Lord Luo, your Luo family is really something. The person who spoke was one of the 4 cabinet elders. However, he was the last of the 4 cabinet elders. At the same time, he was also Li Hongming's father-in-law. What was the meaning of this sour look? What do you mean, Cabinet Elder Lu? Luo Peishan looked very puzzled. Lord Luo, you don't have to play dumb with me. It's a good thing that your son and grandson are successful. Luo Peishan still looked puzzled. Lord Lu, please enlighten me. Cabinet Elder Lu cursed in his mind. I heard that the third son of your family came to Duke Ding's mansion today and brought a special betrothal gift. Lord Luo, you must know what it is, right? Luo Peishan nodded in understanding. Lord Lu, are you talking about the painting of birds looking up to the phoenix? It's just my grandson's inferior work. It's not worth mentioning. He waved his hand carelessly. I heard that it's not inferior work. It's clearly a masterpiece, not to mention a meticulous painting. Luo Peishan smiled. As expected, noble consort Su and Prince Rui's people went to Duke Ding's mansion today. There were probably many people from other factions as well. Cabinet Elder Lu, you're really well informed. That kid still needs to be honed. Lord Luo, you don't have to be so harsh. I heard that the painting method has already been perfected. It must have taken a lot of effort. He's not even 20 years old, yet he's already so accomplished. Does Lord Luo still think it's not enough? What should we, who only have unfilial sons and grandchildren in our families, do? Cabinet Elder Lu's face looked as if he didn't know how lucky he was. When Luo Peishan heard this, he felt so jealous that his teeth were about to fall out. However, he sincerely praised the sons and grandchildren of Cabinet Elder Lu's family. They were like dragons and phoenixes, rarely seen in the heavens and unparalleled on earth. Hearing this, the corners of the people around him twitched. Were you talking about people? Were you talking about gods? Moreover, Lord Luo, are you sure you're praising them and not insulting them? Unfortunately, Luo Peishan's face was full of sincerity, as if he was telling the truth. Even Cabinet Elder Lu had to admit that he had to bow down to this kind of person. This time, he didn't want to stop him from making friends. He just wanted to get rid of him quickly and leave. This old man still has important matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. Sure enough, he had important matters to attend to because he left in a hurry. Luo Peishan stood in place, stroking his beard. His expression was modest, and he exuded a scholarly aura. Master. Luo Peishan's manservant handed 2 books to him. Luo Peishan tilted his head and made a sound of acknowledgement. Just as he was about to take the books, a hand suddenly reached out and quickly snatched them away. The Chart of Beauties? Lord Luo, you're not being kind. Diwu Taiqing was a bit angry. Luo Peishan almost rolled his eyes at him. Again, he had just received the Chart of Beauties and hadn't looked at it yet. How could Diwu Taiqing return it to him? He flipped it open. This painting, what kind of painting is this? I've never seen it before. Is it strange that you haven't seen it before? Luo Peishan didn't think much of it. Diwu Taiqing hadn't heard about Luo Jinggua's betrothal gifts, but someone beside him had. Could it be those fine brushwork paintings? Everyone who had heard about it was a bit curious, so they all wanted to see it with their own eyes. Diwu Taiqing also had a rough understanding of it from their noisy chatter. This is the Chart of Beauties that your families last made, and your grandson painted it? Why not? The paintings on these 2 Chart of Beauties were indeed painted by his grandson at his granddaughter's request. These paintings were made some time ago. There were some flowers and trees that Luo Jinggua didn't know about. Jingwan first painted them, then copied them for Luo Jinggua, and then had the people around her burn them. Now, the fine brushwork paintings around her were basically unfinished. When seen by outsiders, they would think that she was still learning how to paint. Because she was also interested in freehand brushwork, she would occasionally switch to that side. It could be said that Jingwan really did a lot for her brother. However, Jingwan probably didn't know that the paintings that she asked people to burn were actually collected by Nanigong and sent to Li Hongyuan. Only some of the abandoned paintings were burned. It didn't matter if she sacrificed a little for her brother, but Li Hongyuan felt distressed when he saw it. He couldn't bear to see Wanwan's painstaking efforts go up in flames just like that. The surrounding adults were only interested in the fine brushwork paintings, but not in the Chart of Beauties. Therefore, they weren't stingy with showing it to them. Previously, they had only heard about it, but now that they saw the finished product, it was really a brand new method. Moreover, it seemed that the technique was really perfect and impeccable. It was really amazing. As the saying goes, what you hear is false, but what you see is true. While the others were passing it around, Diwu Taiqing and Luo Peishan were talking and bargaining. However, the voices beside them were getting softer and softer. By the time the 2 of them noticed, not only were there not many people, but the 2 Chart of Beauties were also missing. The 2 of them couldn't help but be angry. Where are the things? Then someone told them rather sympathetically. One was taken away by Pavilion Elder Ruan, and the other is in the hands of Minister Zhong. Luo Peishan's face turned green, while Diwu Taiqing directly cursed. He rolled up his sleeves, looking like he was going to fight with them. Luo Peishan wanted to find someone to get the things back, but he was once again blocked by Li Hongming. Seeing that the Luo family seemed to be completely defecting to Li Hongming's side, if he was only the minister of the Board of Rights, Li Hongming might not have bothered to pull him over. However, the situation was different now. Previously, there was the third young lady of the Luo family, who was indebted to many people. Now, there was the third young master of the Luo family, who was very likely to be famous all over the world and even become the founder of a generation. The influence of such a person was too great. How could he just let Li Hongyi get hold of him? Naturally, he had to think of a way to pull him over. If he couldn't get him, he would destroy him. In fact, after the marriage between Luo Jinghua and Sun Yijiao was agreed, Luo Peishan had already expected this result. Therefore, when Li Hongming invited him, he didn't refuse. He couldn't refuse. When Li Hongyi learned that Li Hongming had invited Luo Peishan away, he was furious. However, when he rushed out, they were already gone. Li Hongming, I don't believe that you can still break up the marriage between my cousin and Luo Jinghua. Li Hongming couldn't break up this marriage because his father, Lu Qingdi, wanted Sun Yijia to get married smoothly. Whoever dared to break up this marriage would have to eat a bear's heart and leopard's gall. The result would be a miserable death. However, Li Hongming still had Luo Rongping in his hands. Previously, he didn't care about this person who seemed to want to switch sides to his side. However, now he was a good chess piece to contain the Luo family. Even if Luo Rongping saw that the current situation was not right and wanted to shrink back, he wouldn't give him a chance. First, he lost the beauty chart. Then, he was pulled away to talk in a roundabout way. His heart was stifled. After the stifled Luo Shangshu returned to the Fu, he grabbed his fourth son, who was going to enter the exam tomorrow, and gave him a good scolding. Luo Rongwei, who was preparing to relax the day before the exam, was extremely depressed. Who did he provoke? After venting for a while, Luo Peishan's anger subsided, and he called his other children and grandchildren over. His expression was much more pleasant. He specifically asked Luo Jinghua about the betrothal gifts today and nodded in satisfaction. However, when they didn't notice, he looked at Luo Rongping coldly. Today, the Luo family also sent some things to the Chen family. After all, Chen Zhengmin was going to enter the exam tomorrow, so they must send some auspicious things. The next day, Luo Peishan said everything he wanted to say to his fourth son. In the end, his ranking would depend on his own luck. As for the other three branches, they also expressed what they wanted to express. Therefore, when they entered the exam hall, because the children of the fourth branch were still young, only Madame Lu brought the servants to send Luo Si off. However, compared to those who came to the capital alone to take the exam, this was considered very grand. Of course, there were also those who were not as good as those who came with the whole family. Luo Rongwei was more open-minded. In any case, his knowledge was not very outstanding. It would be best if he did well in the exam. If he didn't do well, it was not impossible for him to live the rest of his life. Madame Lu waited for Luo Rongwei to enter the exam hall. When she saw the people from the Chen family, she first greeted them. Mingir has already entered. Then, she saw a servant carrying a basket. It was clearly prepared for the exam. Moreover, Madame Lu saw that third uncle's family was very anxious, but Mingir was nowhere to be seen. Madame Lu's heart thumped. What's going on? Chen Jingmin's mother was so anxious that she almost cried. Our Mingir was asked to go out yesterday. He hasn't returned yet. What if he missed the exam? Moreover, what if he met with an accident? How am I supposed to live? Shut up, what are you howling for? Mingir is naturally fine. Chen Jingmin's grandmother sternly stopped her, but everyone could hear that her voice was trembling. She was comforting herself. Madame Lu didn't know what to say. It was reasonable to say that Mingir, that child, was not so ignorant. Did you send someone to look for him? You should also send someone to the Luo family to inform them. Last night, his servant came back and told us that Mingir was discussing knowledge with his friends. He wouldn't finish it in a short time, so he rested there last night. This morning he came back early, but we waited and waited, but he didn't come back. We didn't know where he was resting, so we brought the things here first. But now, it's getting late, and he still hasn't appeared." Madame Lu also became anxious. If they missed the exam, they would have to wait for 3 more years. Although he was only 16 years old, and after 3 years, he would only be 19 years old. Among the group of examinees, he was still a very young person. However, for third miss, it was very different. If she took the exam now 2 years later, the person she married would be an official. If she took the exam again 3 years later, she would still be an imperial scholar. Their third miss would feel wronged. Seeing that the people were getting fewer and fewer, the doors of the exam hall were about to close. "He's here, he's here. Master, madam, master, grandmother, young master is here." The servants who were scattered around finally came back with good news. The old and young, who were originally frowning, immediately smiled. It's good that he made it in time. Chen Jingmin's speed was very fast. He almost trotted over. But when he got closer, everyone found that his complexion was not very good. Compared to the young man, who always had a gentle smile on his face, this time he was surprisingly cold. Moreover, there was a trace of ruthlessness and hatred in the corner of his eyes. Not only that, his clothes were also wrinkled. Min Gear, this what's going on?" Chen Zhengmin took the things from the servant's hand. "Grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, don't ask first. I can't explain clearly in a few sentences. Wait until I finish the exam. I'll go in first." Then, without looking back, he walked towards the entrance of the exam hall. Everyone looked at each other. This, compared to the Chen family, Madame Lu's expression was surprisingly ugly. If she didn't see wrongly, there was clearly a red mark on Mingir's collar. Moreover, it seemed to be a teeth mark. She was not a virgin, so how could she not know what it was? "Good for you, Chen Zhengmin. When you were engaged to the third girl, you said so nicely. But now, you're fooling around outside. You even did it on the day before the exam. It's fine if you joke about your future. That's his own business. But what do you take our third girl for?" Just as they were about to say something, the people of the Chun family saw the servant walking over with his head drooping. Third old master Chen pulled him over. "Tell me what's going on. Didn't you go back last night and say that your young master was discussing knowledge with a friend? Why did he become like this?" The servant had a sad face. "Master, I don't know how it turned out like this." Suddenly, a burst of giggling came from a carriage. It was clearly the carriage that was following behind the errand boy. At first, they didn't notice it and thought it was just passing by. But now, it was clear that it was coming for them. The curtain of the carriage was lifted. There were 3 people inside. The 2 outside were obviously maidservants, and the fiery figure behind them was leaning lazily with a bit of charm. The men subconsciously looked away. Whose girl was this? In public, she was like a woman in a brothel. She had no manners and was improper. The woman laughed again. "Third old Master Chen, instead of asking this little attendant, why don't you ask me instead? After all, I was the one who arranged everything." "Princess? How did Min Gear have anything to do with a princess?" Even Madame Lu had just entered the capital not long ago. They really didn't know which family this princess was from. However, since she dared to call herself that, then, naturally, she was not lying. "Greetings, princess." As a princess, they were shameless, but they could not be polite. No need for formalities. We will be a family in the future. It's not good to be so polite. The person in the carriage said with a smile. What family? The Chin family was a bit confused, but Madame Lu's eyes were a bit fierce. Didn't Brother Min tell you just now that last night we already... She had a shy look that was half true and half false. The Chun family felt their vision go dark, and they almost fainted. Although it's Brother Min's honor that I have taken a fancy to him, and it's also your Chin family's honor, you don't have to be so excited. After all, my father doesn't like people who rely on nepotism to climb up. The Chun family was so angry that they trembled. How did their Min-gear provoke such a self-righteous and shameless woman? Ah, there's no need to say so much now. Let's go to the Luo family first. Why are you going to the Luo family, princess? Madame Lu asked coldly. Why? Of course, I'm going to find that slut Luo Jingwan to take back the marriage certificate. I'm already Brother Min's woman. Could it be that she still wants to marry Brother Min? However, if she becomes Brother Min's concubine and serves me well in the future, I will be especially generous and allow Brother Min to have her as his concubine. The woman's smile was exceptionally bright. Third Old Master Chen's chest heaved up and down. He was almost out of breath. The whole family was frightened, but the woman in the carriage seemed to be watching a joke. Her smile was particularly dazzling. Let's go to the Luo family. The curtain of the carriage was lowered, and the horse began to trot under the coachman's whip. Third Old Master Chen took 2 breaths and said, "Hurry, let's go to the Luo family." That woman wanted to make a scene in the Luo family, so they naturally couldn't ignore it. What kind of sin did their family commit? Third uncle, I'll go first and go back to tell mother and the others. Madame Lu's expression was not good, but it was not the time to be angry at the Qin family. Okay, you go back first. Madame Lu got into the carriage, and her maidservant followed in. Luo Rongwei's attendant went back by himself and told the coachman to hurry up. Madame Lu finally arrived at the Luo family's residence before the imperial daughter. Without saying anything, she rushed straight to the main courtyard. Coincidentally, there were many people here, including Jingwan. Madame Lu hesitated for a moment, but still said it directly. After all, when the matter was blown up, the people who should know and shouldn't know would know. Mother, I'm afraid that the marriage between third girl and Min-gear won't happen. Madame Lu didn't wait for the crowd to say anything and spilled out everything in one breath. Hearing this, the people in the room were stunned. There was such a person in the world, and she was a noble imperial daughter. When they looked at Jingwan, their eyes couldn't help but have a bit of pity. Madame Luo almost couldn't breathe. She had always felt that Wan's marriage might not be smooth. She thought that after the engagement everything would be settled, but in the end, something still happened. Jingwan hurriedly reached out to calm Madame Luo down. Grandmother, don't worry. It's okay. Just as Madame Luo's breathing calmed down, the servants came to report that a woman who called herself an imperial daughter had come to the door. Her attitude was extremely arrogant and unreasonable, and she shouted that she wanted to see third young Mississippi. In fact, that imperial daughter kept calling her Luo Jingwan little slut. This naturally alarmed everyone in the residence. When the woman saw the crowd, she scolded even more harshly. Jingwan stood next to Madame Luo and watched Li Ryu pointing a whip at her, calling her a slut and a lowly slut. Except for a few people in the third branch, everyone's expression was ugly, and they all wanted to tear her mouth. However, Jingwan, the person involved, was exceptionally calm and didn't even change her expression. Little slut, didn't you see that I'm here? Why aren't you serving me tea? Jingwan nodded. Your Highness is right, I should serve you. As she spoke, she walked down the stairs. What was Jingwan saying? Did they hear it wrong? Was she afraid of the other party's identity? Come, close the door and ask the imperial daughters, 2 maids to leave and serve them tea. Li Ryu, who was originally smug and thought that Jingwan was afraid of her, finally felt that something was wrong. Little slut, what are you doing? Hearing the sound of the door being closed, she couldn't help but look back and involuntarily took 2 steps back, as if she felt embarrassed, and puffed out her chest. Little slut, let me tell you, what are you doing? Stop it. Seeing the 2 maids being dragged away by the strong woman, Li Ryu waved her whip in exasperation. The woman was also cunning and directly used the maid in her hand to block the whip. Then, the maid screamed and the skin on her face was torn open. Nanny, the whip is such a dangerous thing. How can we let the princess, a noble, hold it in her hand? What if she hurts herself? Ask someone to take it aside and keep it safe. When the princess leaves, we can return it to her. Nanny Gong naturally obeyed her master's orders, so she easily removed Li Ruyu's whip. The maid was restrained and the whip was taken away. Seeing Jingwan approaching step by step, Li Ruyu had a bad feeling. "Little slut, what are you doing?" "Let me tell you, Your Highness, didn't you just say that you want me to serve you? Didn't I follow your orders and come to serve you personally?" Jingwan moved her wrists and suddenly took 2 quick steps forward. Then, she punched Li Ruyu's ribs hard. Li Ruyu screamed and instinctively bent over. Jingwan grabbed her shoulders and lifted her leg. Li Ruyu's stomach was hit hard again. Jingwan stepped back, and Li Ruyu fell to the ground. Jingwan looked no different from an ordinary girl, but she had been training all year round, and her strength was not weak. In addition, when she was learning self-defense in her previous life, she had learned to use the least amount of strength to cause the most damage to the opponent. Basically, it was a technique that would not leave a scar. Speaking of which, after she became a pampered lady, she had used some small life skills not long ago. Now that she had even taken out this thing, it was quite unexpected and also quite exciting. This unforeseen event made everyone look at each other in dismay. This girl was really, one could amaze people with a single brilliant feat. Not only was she good in other aspects, but she was also good at beating people up. And the person she was beating was the princess, a member of the imperial family. She had the courage of a bear and the courage of a leopard. Li Ruyu hugged her stomach and curled into a ball. Her face was pale, and it looked like she was in great pain. "Little slut." Jingwan squatted down and reached out to grab Li Ruyu's hair. She lifted her head. "Princess, do you have any instructions? Are you not satisfied with my service? Don't worry, I will definitely satisfy the princess today." She curved her lips and smiled gently. Li Ruyu trembled. She suddenly felt that Luo Jingwan was a demon just like Li Hongyuan. "Mama, bring a chair over. I see that the princess is being served too comfortably and can't stand properly." The chair was quickly brought over. Jingwan grabbed Li Ruyu's hair and lifted her up, placing her on the chair. "Miss, your fingers are not fully healed yet. Don't use too much strength. If you need anything, just let me know." Jingwan was speechless. Her fingers had healed long ago. On the day she came back with the injury, she had adjusted the color of her brother's hair for a long time. She did not see her say anything. Now it was just that her fingertips had not recovered their previous smoothness. All right, her brother was on her side, and Li Ruyu was just an outsider. It was not worth hurting herself for her. "Your Highness, please sit tight. Otherwise, I'm worried that you won't need to twist your hair if this happens a few more times. You'll become a sister-in-law directly." Nanny Gong helped Li Ruyu up and said in an exceptionally gentle manner. Li Ruyu's body trembled again. The feeling of facing Li Hongyuan became even stronger. Jingwan looked at Mama Gong. It seemed that she was the expert. Jingwan placed her hand on Li Ruyu's head. Li Ruyu was about to raise her hand to push her away when Jingwan's other hand punched her. Li Ruyu screamed again. Although the punch did not land on her body, they knew from Li Ruyu's reaction that it must be very painful. "Mother, Will Wanwan." When Luo Rongyan saw his daughter like this, he did not know what to say. It was really unexpected. His daughter was usually so obedient and delicate. How could she be so fierce when she hit someone? Madame Luo waved her hand and said coldly, "Don't you know that she bullied Wanwan first?" As her father, you can't help your daughter vent her anger. It's fine if you don't allow her to vent her anger. Luo Rongyan touched his nose and did not dare to say anything. His daughter was his mother's treasure. Everyone else had to stand aside. Even if his daughter did such a disgraceful thing, it was his fault as her father. He was incompetent. What's more, it's just the powerless Prince Cheng's mansion. It's not Princess Ruyu's fault. She still has someone to back her up. So what if I hit her now? I'd like to see who she can find to help her. Now it was the Empress and Prince Kong who wanted to win over their family. Would they find trouble with the Luo family for Li Ruyu? Madame Luo did not lower her voice at all, and it fell clearly into Li Ruyu's ears. She regretted it. She thought that other than not being able to pester Brother Lin, she could continue to be a tyrant like before. In fact, that was not the case. Even a b asterisk tch like Luo Jingwan had the guts to hit her. Little b asterisk tch, little b asterisk tch. How dare you? This princess is the princess of the imperial family. The imperial family. Jingwan bent down and whispered in Li Ruyu's ear. An unfavored prince will be bullied. Who do you think you are? She made trouble for her again and again. Now because of something that did not happen, she schemed to steal her fiancé. If she could tolerate it, what could not? Now that she delivered herself to her door, Jingwan felt sorry for herself if she did not vent her anger. When Jingwan stopped, Li Ruyu slipped on the ground again. She curled into a ball and trembled in pain. Her face was covered in tears and snot. There was no trace of her fiery and flamboyant appearance. All the onlookers were silent, including the Chun family, who had already arrived at the Luo residence. Jingwan, who was standing behind with a cold and fierce face, was really a little scary. Nanny, take her away to freshen up. Then, examine her body. Jingwan was unusually calm. She said the words examine her body very naturally, as if there was nothing wrong with it. Before they came, the Chun family was still thinking about how to resolve this matter. Should they retain Jingwan, their daughter-in-law and granddaughter-in-law? But if what the princess said was right, their Min-gear must marry her. After all, it was a big crime to take the princess as a concubine. But to make Miss Luo a concubine? Don't even think about it. Breaking off the engagement seemed to be the only choice. As for how to say it, so that the two families would not become enemies? From the looks of it now, there was actually no need for them to say a word. The lady had already made her choice. Moreover, such a gentle and good-natured lady was actually so fierce when she was angered. Could their brother Min really subdue her? Jingwan glanced at the Chun family's expression. It seemed that even if Li Ruyu didn't lose her virginity, there was no need to persuade her to stay. After freshening up, Li Ruyu was still pretty, but she was dispirited. Miss, Princess Ryu, is no longer a virgin. Oh, she really is a girl who will do anything to achieve her goal. She sacrificed so much. I hope she won't regret it in the future. Mother, go get the marriage certificate and give it to third granduncle. My marriage with Cousin Min will be annulled. Once the engagement was annulled, even if the man was at fault, her daughter's reputation would be affected. But from her mouth, it was over with just one sentence. Madame Zhang had long been frightened by her daughter, so she did whatever she was told to do. While waiting for Madame Zhang to get the marriage certificate, Jingwan acted as if nothing had happened and even invited the Chun family into the room. Madame Luo looked at Jingwan. At this time, she didn't know if she really didn't care or if she was pretending not to care. But no matter what the situation was, it made her heart ache. Several times, she wanted to say something but stopped. No one left, but they were all silent, and no one said a word. In the end, it was still Jingwan who spoke, third granduncle. Let's hide the annulment from Cousin Min for now. When he comes out of the examination hall, tell him that I said to focus on the examination. No matter what, we can talk about it after the court examination. As she spoke, she even winked playfully. If his romantic feelings affect the examination and he doesn't get the desired ranking, I will look down on him. He was touched by Jingwan's thoughtfulness. For such a girl, perhaps even if Min-gear couldn't subdue her, it wouldn't matter? Unfortunately, it was useless to say anything. That princess directly pushed the matter to a dead end. There was no other way. Jingwan personally returned the marriage certificate to the Chun family. Then she looked at Li Ruyu meaningfully. Now that she's a family member, if there's anything that doesn't go your way, just teach her well. A princess, without anyone to support her, still wanted to put on airs after getting married? Li Ruyu was really scared by Jingwan and shrank back with all her might. I think you know very well what to say and what not to say. After all, he's your future husband. It's not good for you to affect his future. Digression. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653004. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book, www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition website, mbicken.com. Chapter 105. Jingwan had wanted to send Li Ruyu to Prince Cheng's carriage and send her back directly. However, Li Ruyu did not appreciate her kindness and insisted on being supported by her 2 maidservants. Since that was the case, Jingwan could only send her off personally. Before she boarded the carriage, Jingwan smiled and said, "I will wait for your highness to come and find me again. When that time comes, I will definitely treat your highness well and ensure that your highness will feel at home." Li Ruyu's entire body was in pain. It was so painful that she could not stop trembling. She wanted to be more unyielding in front of Jingwan, but she could not. Even though she gritted her teeth in hatred, she did not dare to scold Jingwan. She was afraid that Jingwan would beat her again. As the saying goes, like master, like servant. Usually, they would be arrogant beside Li Ruyu. However, at this moment, they were like frightened quails. They curled up and did not dare to breathe loudly. It was obvious that they had enjoyed themselves after being taken away. "Luo Jingwan, what you have to be so proud of? Your fiancé is gone, and he'll soon become my consort. This is retribution for snatching Brother Lin away. Now you're just a slut whose engagement was broken off." Looking at the smiling Jingwan, Li Ruyu swallowed the rest of her words. "Your Highness, you're right. But so what? It's just a broken engagement. It's not like I can't get married. I will definitely have another fiancé. I just don't know if your Highness has the ability to snatch him away again." The commandery princess could come to his door and let him sleep with her again. However, the first time was worth money, but the second time was not. He slept with the commandery princess in a one-night stand. Although she was a loose woman, he did not lose anything. He just took it as going to a brothel, and it was the kind that did not cost him anything. If other people knew, they would definitely flock to him, and the commandery princess would not have to trouble herself to come to his door. How good was that, right? It's just that my cousin Min is a little unlucky. I don't know how cuckolded he will be. However, when that time comes, even if you are a princess, he will have a reason to break off the engagement. Speaking of this subject suddenly recalled something. Was it the first time that the princess had slept with someone last night? Looking at the princess's casual attitude, it seems that she is very familiar with him. Nanny, do you think that if the princess had already lost her virginity, cousin would not have to take responsibility? Granny Gong frowned cooperatively. Commandery Princess is a member of the imperial family, after all. If she doesn't let go of young Master Minbiao, he will most likely have to marry her. The imperial family has to care about their reputation, and young Master Minbiao cannot be labeled as heartless. That will be detrimental to his future. Oh, then Cousin Min can only suffer for a while. Jingwan felt that it was not worth it for her cousin. Li Ruyu pointed at Jingwan with a trembling finger. She stuttered for a long time and fainted. She almost died and fell to the ground with her 2 maids. Nanny Gong was kind enough to lend a hand. It seems that the princess is tired. That's right. Since she schemed against my cousin yesterday, she hasn't stopped. In that case, let's send her back quickly. Jingwan glanced at the coachman, who had heard all her words but did not respond. With the help of Nanny Gong, Li Ruyu was sent to the carriage. Looking at the carriage going away, Jingwan frowned. That coachman feels strange. There are many strange people in the world. Who knows what's going on with him? If he is sensible, he will know what to say and what not to say. Nanny Gong was not surprised that the King of Hell would send someone to follow them all the way. However, this time, the person was not qualified, which made Lin Minya see some clues. "No, Nanny, I just feel that the coachman looks familiar." Mama Gong's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, she couldn't tell who the person who was sent was. Thinking about it carefully, when the young lady was in direct contact with the King of Hell who was with her, it seemed that other than Muan, there was only an E, who was both an open and secret guard. As long as she confirmed whether the coachman was an E, she would know. If it was, then a certain someone would have to be more careful in the future. After all, the young lady was so sharp. If she discovered a clue in advance, then Nanny Gong was helpless. It seemed that even if Lin Mingya found out, she would still be the one to suffer. According to the nature of the king of hell, since Lin Mingya knew it, then he did not need to hide it. She was afraid that he would brazenly steal the fragrance and often attack the fragrance at night. There are many people who look alike in the world. Maybe Lin Mingya saw someone who looked like him by chance. Jinghua nodded. It was probably so. A coachman could not make any trouble. Even if he repeated her words to Commandery Prince Chung and his wife, what could he do? Could Commandery Prince Cheng find her? Or could Commandery Prince Cheng's wife use this to ruin her reputation? Where did Lin Mingya hear things like the first time, the second time, and the brothel? These are not things that Lin Mingya should know. There are some things that could not be said in front of outsiders. However, since Lin Mingya did something wrong, she had to say what should be said. Probably when I was reading a book by accident. Nanny, don't be so calculative. Jingwan felt guilty. At Lin Mingya's age, it's not a big deal even if you know some things. In noble families, when Lin Mingya's family reached a certain age, the elders would more or less let them know some things about sex. There were even some concubines with special backgrounds who would teach their daughters in advance how to serve men. However, knowing is one thing, saying it is another thing. If people hear it, it will be bad for Lin Mingya's reputation. Jingwan hurriedly held Nanny Gong's arm. Nanny, I know I was wrong. I will be careful next time. Newbie hopes that Lin Mingya will not do it again. But Lin Mingya always knows how to behave properly. I don't need to say more. I know that you're doing this for my own good. You treat me like your own daughter. I'll remember everything you said. Lin Mingya is the master, and I am a servant. How can a servant treat a master as a daughter and disregard the seniority? What a scandal. Okay. Nanny, I said something wrong again. As my servant, you should take me as the center and think of me in everything. You can't put anything in your heart except for me. You should do anything for me. One could say that she was inflexible, but sometimes she would allow her master to do as she pleased. One could say that she ignored the rules, but she was strict and upright, scrupulously abiding by her duties. But one thing was for sure, and that was that she really did everything for Jingwan's sake. In this world, it would be hard to find a servant more loyal and devoted than her. However, how could her previous master be willing to let such a person go? Of course. Jingwan secretly rolled her eyes. She knew it would be like this. Nanny Gong saw Jingwan's action and laughed in her heart. It was better for Lin Mingya to be lively. After returning, Jingwan found that the atmosphere in the room seemed to be a bit strange. The Chun family was embarrassed, while some of the Luo family were sullen, and some of them were obviously angry. When the Chun family saw Jingwan, it was as if they saw their savior. Third Master Chen's old face was wrinkled with a smile. Well, Wan, you know your cousin Min. Third brother, Madame Luo, interrupted him calmly. Wan is just a girl. She's the one who's hurt the most in this matter. She's usually strong, but she's also a gentle and considerate child. She hides everything in her heart and refuses to show it because she's afraid that we'll be worried. She doesn't blame Brother Min and even broke off the engagement without asking for anything. She's already done this. I don't know what else third brother wants. Wan, go back to your courtyard. Jingwan probably knew that after sending away the people she didn't want to work, it was time for the two families to argue. Although she had lived in this world for more than 10 years, she wasn't born and raised here. There were some things that she couldn't completely integrate into her thoughts. For example, she actually didn't think that this was a big deal, but it wasn't in the eyes of others. At least, the right and wrong of this matter had to be discussed. Grandmother, this matter. The reason for this matter was actually her. Although she did not do anything wrong, it was all Li Ruyu's fault. She did not reflect on her own problems and vented all her mistakes and resentment on Jingwan. As for Li Ruyu's revenge, because she snatched Sun Yilin away, if Li Ruyu did not say it herself, Jingwan would not have thought of this. She only thought that she had offended Li Ruyu because she did not give her face again and again, so she came up with such a bad idea. It was purely the logic of a robber, but she did it. The most innocent person was actually Chen Zhengmin. However, he was easily tricked by a little girl. He was not that innocent. In other words, he was a little incompetent. If Jingwan knew that this was all planned by Li Hongyuan, what would her expression be? Li Ruyu's brain did not think of Chen Zhengmin at all. It was Li Hongyuan who asked people to instigate her and lead her to come up with such a plan. As for Chen Zhengmin, in fact, after Li Ruyu schemed against him, he found out. If it was really only Li Ruyu and the two little maids, he could still escape. But with Li Hongyuan's interference, he was powerless. So far, who did not suffer losses when facing Li Hongyuan, including Jingwan, although Jingwan herself did not know. Wan, go back. Grandmother will take care of this matter. Jingwan opened her mouth, but in the end, she did not say anything. Grandmother probably knew that she had offended Li Ruyu and caused her to make such a move. Grandmother intended to push all the blame to Chen Zhengmin and minimize the impact on her. In this way, she might even have some conflicts with her own third brother. She had already done this, so what reason did she have to undermine her? Compared to Chen Zhengmin's cousin, whom she had only seen a few times, she had been with her for more than 10 years. She held her in the palm of her hand and doted on her. There was no need to consider who she was biased towards. She silently apologized to Chen Zhengmin in her heart. Anyway, except for Li Ruyu's bad temper, he still had a beautiful wife, so it was not a loss. Granddaughter will take her leave. Jingwan bowed to the others and then left. I'm going to see little sister. Luo Jinghua quickly followed. Madame Zhang, who had been a little absent-minded because of Jingwan's beating, came back to her senses. Daughter-in-law will also go and see. Madame Luo waved her hand impatiently and sent her away. Anyway, this daughter-in-law would not be of any use here. Therefore, before Jingwan could say a few words to her brother, her mother caught up with her again. Wan, are you okay? Jingwan thought she was asking if her heart was uncomfortable, but she grabbed her hand and looked. Jingwan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Mother, I'm fine. I was worried that I would scare you. At first you were scared, but no matter what, you are still my daughter. I gave birth to you. Well, although her mother often made people feel helpless and speechless, and was often not in the mood, her care and tolerance for her children were unquestionable. The words she occasionally said were quite heartwarming. It's good that I didn't scare you. Otherwise, it would be my fault. Madame Zhang looked at her daughter and was a little conflicted. Wan, don't be sad. Although Min Gear broke off the engagement, it must be God who wants to give you a better marriage. Our daughter is so good and deserved the best. Well, Jingwan thought she did not think of this. However, the people around her had reached a consensus. She was the best and deserved the best. She actually wanted to ask what the best one was like. She assured her mother again and again that she was really fine and didn't mind. Finally, she managed to coax her mother away. She didn't like to talk to her mother. Once or twice, it was fine. But if it happened too often, she might as well be alone. Luo Jinghua originally wanted to leave, but was stopped by Jingwan. Seeing Jingwan's posture, Luo Jinghua had a bad feeling. He swallowed and said, Little sister, third brother is HM? What? Third brother. Do you have something to say? Jingwan asked with a smile and even moved her wrist. Luo Jinghua immediately withered. He did not want to try his little sister's ruthless way of beating people. If he was beaten by his little sister, he would not be able to fight back and would be embarrassed. Actually, this was not a big deal. The main thing was that he might be beaten even more. He would definitely be in the wrong if he let his little sister beat him up. He deserved it no matter how many times she beat him up. Moreover, he was thick-skinned. If his little sister's hand was not hurt, she would beat him up again with a plank. Therefore, look at how high Luo Jinghua's awareness was. He had analyzed all the consequences and the pros and cons. Most importantly, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. What was he doing? Jingwan only felt that after this incident with Qin Jungmin, she felt that her brother still needed to be taught a lesson. When he was dragged to the begonia house again, Jingwan carried out a 2-hour-long lesson on how to guard against women. Luo Jinghua only felt that according to his little sister's words, all women in the world, except for those closest to you, were not good people. If you saw them, you should drive them away with the most resolute attitude. If you still could not do so, you should be more self-aware and avoid them. It was fine even if you were a little embarrassed at that time. If you were to be schemed against and have to bring them home. Luo Jinghua knew that his little sister did not have a good impression of her concubines. Those in the family were all elders. Due to filial piety, she could not say anything. However, he was different, especially after listening to his little sister's preaching for so long. He was very clear that after Ijia married into the family, if he could get a concubine, no, even if it was a concubine, or even if he had a one-night stand outside, she would probably beat him up. In fact, beating him up would be considered a good thing. She would probably ignore him from then on. He was very sure that this was not just a guess. He was not a real blockhead. His little sister had told him so much. How could he not know what she was thinking? Fortunately, Luo Jinghua was not very interested in women. It was not impossible for him to stay by his wife's side for the rest of his life. His little sister was already a big girl. Some of her actions were inappropriate, but he still stroked Jingwan's head. Little sister, don't worry. Your third brother will only have you as my sister-in-law in this lifetime. I will never be tainted by another woman. Did you say that yourself? Jingwan looked up at him. If you break your promise, you will castrate yourself. Luo Jinghua's body stiffened. Little sister, isn't this a little too harsh? Why? Are you going back on your word now? Jingwan glared at him with her hands on her hips. She looked as if she would do it herself if he dared to nod his head. No, absolutely not. I promise you that I will do what I say. I will never be tricked. Of course, he would do what he said. In fact, when he was young, he knew that his little sister had a special trait. She did not make promises easily, nor did she listen to promises easily. For the former, she would keep her promises. For the latter, if you did not make a promise and did something that she could not stand, she might forgive you. But if you made a promise but failed to keep it, then even if you spent 10 times or 100 times more sincerity, you would never be able to move her and beg for her forgiveness. She was really the most gentle, but also the most cold and hard. Jingwan clapped her hands. That's more like it. Okay, now that this matter is over, let's talk about business. And what's the matter? Fine brushwork has been released. Why? Do you want to be surrounded by people every day and go around personally demonstrating it to others? Then what else can I do? Luo Jinghua asked in confusion. This is what we are going to do next. Come and help. Jingwan handed him a newly bound book. Take a look at the sample first. Luo Jinghua flipped through it. Little sister, are you going to publish a book directly? The text part can be printed, but the accompanying pictures? There is no way to print the accompanying pictures. That's why I can't do too much. I have been preparing since I taught you how to draw. Take a simple thing as an example, such as a bird, a flower, or a small mountain rock. I will draw the steps step by step and write the specific drawing method next to the accompanying picture. It's simple and clear. The back of the book in your hand also has it. You can take a look. Luo Jinghua flipped to the back of the book. Indeed, it was as his little sister had said. She had listed out all the possible problems one might encounter in detail and explained them in detail. Besides that, there were complete drawings on every few pages. One had to follow the instructions in the book to complete them. As long as one had some foundation in drawing, they would have to learn the most basic Northeastern style in the end. The rest would depend on one's talent and hard work. Little sister, you are the best. You have thought of everything. You have helped your third brother a lot. You are my brother. If I don't help you, who else should I help? As for the complete paintings, I originally wanted to let you complete them, but after thinking about it carefully, the quantity is too large. At first, I planned to make 1,000 copies. Even if there were only 3 paintings for each book, it would still require 3,000 copies. In fact, 3 paintings is indeed too little. How long would it take to complete them? Thus, I simply cut it in half and made 500 copies. Then, I sorted out all the paintings you completed and imitated your painting style. After this period of time, I estimated that with 5 paintings for each book, there would be about 50 to 60 books. Luo Jinghua looked at the paintings that Jingwan had sorted out and was shocked. His lips squirmed. "Little sister, you don't have to do this. It is so troublesome. I might as well teach you directly." Of the 300 or so paintings, he had at most 50 of them. The remaining 200 or so paintings. How long had it been? Even if she had been imitating his paintings from the beginning, she had averaged more than 10 paintings a day. Not to mention that she had stayed in the White Dragon Temple for so many days. A few days ago, she had helped him mix the colors. She did not seem to have neglected other things. Did she not sleep all day long? Little sister, absolutely not. Your body will not be able to bear it. You are not allowed to draw anymore. Not to mention Luo Jinghua. Even Mama Gong did not know that her young lady had drawn so many paintings. The paintings that she had asked her to put away were not completed. That was not a small number. Had she completed more than the original? Mama Gong felt that she had neglected her duty. Don't be so nervous. Not every painting is different. Many of them are the same. It is very fast to draw. I can finish 4 or 5 paintings in 2 hours, or even more. It won't take much time at all. That won't do. I will find time to teach, third brother. If you want the fine brushwork to be accepted by the world as soon as possible, you can't teach it directly. Okay, don't say so much. Hurry up and help me. Separate the pictures for each book. Because the others don't know how to match the pictures together best, only the 2 of us can do it. The rest of the text will be handed over to grandfather. Let him find someone to print it and put it into a book. 500 books, one every 10 days. It will be divided into 10 times. Each time, there will be exactly 50 books. Little sister, yes. Jingwan buried her head in sorting out the paintings and did not even raise her head. I have taken all the benefits, and you have to work hard to do the rest. It makes third brother feel, what? Jingwan looked up in confusion. Nothing. Luo Jinghua hurriedly stepped forward and helped with the sorting. Luo Jinghua looked at Jingwan's painting. To be honest, if he was not sure that he had never painted before, he would even think that he had painted it himself. He knew what level he was at now. He was very clear that he was far from reaching the level of his little sister. That painting of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix, because he had put in 120% of his effort, and with the help of his little sister, it could be called a fine work. In fact, as long as he compared his painting with his little sister's, he would know how much strength she had hidden. When the first batch is taken out, just say that it is some of the previous paintings. It doesn't matter if it is a little inferior, but grandfather still needs to take it to different degrees to make it look old. Fortunately, it is at most a year old. Even if it is deliberately made to look old, it is basically impossible to tell. Probably no one will be able to tell whether it is true or false. However, third brother has to try his best to get closer to the painting of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. Third brother will work hard. If it was before, under the preaching of his grandfather and father, he would only put in 70% or 80% of his effort to learn. Now, he would put in 120% of his effort. Otherwise, how could he be worthy of his little sister's profound effort? The most important thing today was the imperial examination. There were no major events in other places. Luo Peishan came back early. When he came back, he was directly called to the rear courtyard by his old wife. She told him that Jingwan had broken off the engagement. Luo Peishan's expression was naturally not very good. After a moment of silence, he said, "It's good that she broke off the engagement." Chun Jung-min is really far from being worthy of my good granddaughter. It could be seen that although the cause of this matter might be Jingwan, Luo Peishan's impression of Chun Jung-min had also fallen greatly. Although Wanwan said that this matter should be delayed for a while before it is made public, this old man can't help but talk to Prince Chung. How can he have the face to enjoy the salary of a prince after raising such a shameless daughter? And that Li Ruyu, the face of the daughters of the imperial family, has been completely lost by her. How can she be qualified to enjoy the salary of a princess? Old Madame Luo was silent. Master wanted Lu Qingdi to take the title of Prince Chung, or at least demote him. As for Li Ruyu, she was originally at most a county princess. Because of the empress, she was made an exception and was granted the title of princess. Now that she had done such a disgraceful thing, if she was still allowed to enjoy this honor, then the empress could only wait to be impeached by the imperial censor. Master, as for my third brother, let's forget about it. After all, they are relatives of the family. It's not good to make things too stiff. Well, as you say. Luo Peishan nodded lightly. Old Madame Luo smiled. If Jingwan were to see this, she would probably be speechless again. Her grandfather, Luo Peishan, was one thing. He was an experienced official. How many of them were not thick-skinned? However, her grandmother's skin was not ordinary either. Chun Jung-min was the biggest victim. Now it was not only his fault, but she also forgave him and wanted him to be grateful. Jingwan had to admit that compared to these people, she was still far behind. Not long after Luo Peishan returned to the study, Jingwan and Luo Jinghua came to find him. After learning the purpose of their visit, Luo Peishan was very gratified. As expected of his granddaughter, she was not like other girls in the boudoir who cried and cried after the engagement was cancelled. Third girl is still thoughtful. I originally thought that Jinghua would have to wait for 10 or 20 years. Although your method is a bit hard, it is indeed the best method. Grandfather did not think of it. It's just that you are really too hard. Granddaughter doesn't think it's hard. I think that having something to do every day is far better than being bored all day long. Luo Peishan couldn't help but laugh. I think you have a hard life. The life of a laborer is to work unwillingly every day. Granddaughter is different. I'm happy every day. Okay. As long as you don't tire yourself out, you can do whatever you want. Then I'll leave the rest to grandfather. Jingwan giggled. These are the latest, right? I'll take them back to have a look. Jingwan unceremoniously picked up the imperial court bulletin on the table. Granddaughter will take her leave first. After Jingwan left, Luo Jinghua's expression suddenly became dispirited. His head drooped and his entire person was dispirited. This was a completely different person from the open-minded and straightforward Luo Jinghua, who did not bother about trifles on ordinary days. What's wrong? Luo Peishan held the teacup and took a sip. Luo Jinghua scratched his head. Grandfather, compared to little sister, I feel so incompetent. Moreover, I feel like a child who needs her to take care of everything. I'm obviously the elder brother, but I can't do anything for her. If that's the case, then do as she wants. Other people in the Luo family might not know about the things that Jingwan had instilled in Luo Jinghua, but Luo Peishan and old Madame Luo, who were the most powerful people in the Luo family, knew a little about it. In fact, these things were deliberately leaked to them by Mama Gong. Although she was mainly responsible for Jingwan's personal matters, if she wanted to not leak a single word about controlling the elegant begonia house, she could do it. The reason why she did this was because her young lady's idea was somewhat shocking. It even violated a woman's 3 obediences and 4 virtues, and violated a woman's commandments. Luo Jinghua was influenced by her, and in the future, he might do something that others would think was unreasonable. At that time, when Luo Jinghua was reprimanded, her young lady looked on anxiously from the side, and even stood up to defend him. This made everyone feel that her young lady was so rebellious, unruly, and improper. It was better to let them know in advance. Then, if they had any ideas, they would say it to her young lady in advance, and not wait until the matter was serious and out of control. Luo Jingbo was shocked and suddenly looked up at Luo Peishan. Grandfather knows? Not all, but I know the main thing. Grandfather, it's good that you're not angry. Luo Jingbo still didn't want his little sister to be punished. Why should I be angry? Your little sister has never thought of hurting others. Has she? In fact, Grandfather has long discovered that she is a different kind of girl. She looks as gentle as water, but in fact, she has a clear distinction between love and hate in her bones. She is tenacious and unyielding. She thinks what others don't dare to think, and can do what others can't. If other women knew her thoughts, they would scold her harshly, but in fact, they would be extremely jealous and yearning for her. They had been taught since they were young to treat their husbands as their sky. Had they never thought that their husbands would treat them as their sky? They couldn't think about it, didn't dare to think about it, and didn't dare to say it. If they did, they would be drowned in the pond. Jingbo, Grandfather doesn't think of himself as a pedantic and unreasonable old man. Luo Jingbo laughed. Grandfather, don't say that. You're a refined old man. You've learned bad things from little sister, and your guts have grown up from little sister. Isn't that because you and little sister are so close? It hasn't been long, but you've already pushed all of us to the side, so I couldn't help but want to learn. In fact, it seems to be a little useful. Luo Peishan scolded jokingly. You little rascal, why haven't I seen you learn anything good from your little sister? Aren't I working hard to learn? All right, don't talk nonsense with me here. Go back and draw. If you draw more, your little sister will be able to work less. Yes, but there's still something that grandson doesn't understand. Grandfather, please enlighten me. Speak, what's the matter? Grandson doesn't understand. Why did little sister say that if fine brushwork needs to be recognized, it can't be taught by me personally? You even said that grandson still needs to practice for another 10 or 20 years. That's why I said that you're not as good as third girl. Although there's a saying that the one who reaches the top first, how many people can really achieve this? If a new painting method wants to spread to the world, at least it needs to be recognized by those master painters, right? The real recognition is the inheritance. What kind of people can you teach? Most of them are just young people and children. And these people don't include those who already have painting teachers. If a certain master painters give you a claptrap and a clown evaluation, what will the result be? Obviously, even those who are interested in fine brushwork will immediately abandon it because they don't want to be degraded. I'm afraid that such people are not in the minority. In this way, you'll need to practice for another 10 or 20 years. Your little sister's method is different. Those who are interested but can't put down their face to learn from you, they'll look at the books and learn by themselves. Others don't know, but at least they can save their face. The subtlety of fine brushwork should be felt by those who have a little contact with it. So even if people are not interested in it, at least they won't reject it. What's more, those painting teachers won't stop their students from learning by themselves. It's hard to estimate how much faster the speed of inheritance will be. Although our family only prepared 500 copies, you see, soon after the first batch is out, there will be people who imitate it. Luo Jingbo suddenly realized, sure enough, little sister is thoughtful. However, if outsiders imitate it, it's fine if they imitate it well. But if they don't, won't it ruin the reputation of fine brushwork? Little sister's efforts will be in vain? Just now, Grandfather casually flipped through the books and saw a few interesting gadgets. Luo Peishan pointed out his discovery to Luo Jingbo. It's on the title page, the last page, and some places in the middle. It's our family's logo. Yes, it's our family's logo. It's not a problem to visit the books. But if even our family's logo is imitated, those people can go to jail. As long as we spread the news that the books with Luo family's logo are from you, fine brushwork's reputation will not be damaged. Our family's 500 copies will be crazily snatched. Little sister, you've really thought it through. Luo Jingbo sighed again. Yes, I've thought of all aspects. Well, if there are no other questions, you can go back quickly. Yes, grandson will take his leave. When Luo Peishan was the only one left in the study, he sighed softly. What an intelligent girl. I don't know if you'll have the luck to meet a man who will love you wholeheartedly. That night, Li Honyuan looked at daily life. Speaking of which, his Wan beating people up was nothing. In his previous life, her hands were stained with blood. Of course, those were the real enemies, the enemies of the Qi Yuan dynasty. There were countless people who died indirectly at her hands. He didn't know how she reacted when she first killed people. He saw that she killed people cleanly and neatly, whether it was with a knife or an arrow. She had used anything that could kill people. Once, she even picked up a big stone and smashed the enemy to death. Blood splattered all over her body. There was only determination in her eyes, and she was fearless. Later on, he thought about it. When she died, did she have any resentment towards the Qi Yuan dynasty? He couldn't get an answer. If he could get an answer, if her answer was hatred, would he destroy the Qi Yuan dynasty? No, she wouldn't. Even if she hated, she would only hate certain people and not the entire dynasty. This was because in this land, there were still her close relatives, her friends, and many innocent people. Even though she was a girl, she was more righteous than a man. Li Honyuan rubbed the bridge of his nose. Sure enough, there were some things that he couldn't think about. Once he thought about it, it was easy to get lost in it. Li Honyuan suddenly wanted to know what it felt like when Wan's little fist hit him. Although he clearly knew that when she really beat someone up, it would definitely not be just for show. Her punches were soft and powerless, but when he thought of her delicate little face and her soft little fists, he still felt that it was a little inconceivable. Li Honyuan stretched out his hand and touched his abdomen. Then, he poked it with his finger. It was so hard that it would probably hurt her hand. Imagining that state, Li Honyuan suddenly felt that not only his body was hard, but also the parts that were not supposed to be hard were hard. Seeing that his master seemed to have fallen into a strange state again, Eunuch Mu silently moved 2 steps to the side. Master, if you continue like this, I'm afraid that you will suffocate yourself before Princess Yu marries you. Fortunately, Li Honyuan was not immersed in that state. Soon, he picked up the letter and continued to read. When Li Honyuan saw the tricks that Jingwan used to guard against women, he couldn't help laughing. Well, he had to write this down. If Wan didn't guard against those women who approached him as if he was a thief in the future, he would catch her, strip her, and teach her a lesson. It had to be said that Wan's methods were quite comprehensive. They seemed to be full of tricks, but in fact, they couldn't escape from those tricks. If every man did this, those women with crooked thoughts would probably return in defeat, and those who deliberately designed a honey trap would probably be defeated one by one. Commandery Prince Cheng's title was indeed a little too high. Li Honyuan didn't want to take Li Ruyu's position as the commandery princess. Chun Zhengmin could even subdue the princess, who was favored by noble consort Su. Li Ruyu was really nothing. If she lost her position as the commandery princess and entered the backyard of the Qin family, she would probably disappear. How could she make trouble for Qin Zhengmin? Li Honyuan acquiesced to those rivals in love, but it didn't mean that he would let them go easily. However, Qin Zhengmin used to be Wan's thing. He was robbed by Li Ruyu, so he had to make Li Ruyu return it at the price of the most important thing. Therefore, he didn't care about the position of the commandery princess. He could use other methods to deal with Qin Zhengmin. Li Honyuan forgot that it was he who set Li Ruyu up to rob his beloved thing. Therefore, when it came to the logic of robbers, he was the originator. External and internal were 2 completely different sets of principles. As for Luo Jinghua, Li Honyuan didn't know which family he married in his previous life. Moreover, he seemed to have married a year later, not now. However, he was sure that he had more than one concubine. Obviously, in his previous life, Wan didn't preach to his elder brother. Therefore, the relationship between his sister-in-law and her should be very ordinary. Otherwise, according to her attitude towards son Ijia, she would at least stop his elder brother from taking in concubines. After all, whether it was in his previous life or now, Jingwan had done the same thing to her elder brother. Therefore, her influence on her elder brother should be the same. If she stopped him, it would definitely be effective. 2 days later, the gates of the examination hall opened. The students came out one after another. Some were excited, some were depressed. The Chun family finally saw Chun Jung-min. Digression. The little angels had been waiting for a long time. It was all because of the visit of the great aunt. The author didn't feel very comfortable. So, speaking of which, the little angels were very supportive. Their monthly vote soared. However, it would be even better if they were more supportive and rushed into the top 10. Well, it was most likely impossible. The stupid author could only think about it. https://www.beacon.com/11/11807/6653008. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book, www.beacon.com. Bikugo mobile reading website, beacon.com. Chapter 106. Not to mention the clothes on their bodies. Everyone was more or less the same after these 3 days. The imperial exam was originally a torturous thing, and there were many who looked like they had suffered greatly after coming out. There were even a few who directly collapsed on the ground. Chun Jung-min's state was different from everyone else. His face was dark and his eyes were red. It looked like he hadn't slept for the past 3 days. He was on the verge of exploding with rage. At this moment, he seemed to be unable to suppress it. Those who knew Chun Jung-min all looked askance. Even if he didn't do well, he shouldn't be wailing like this. Moreover, he had such a fiancée. Who knew how many people were jealous of his good luck? If it hadn't been decided early, it wouldn't have been his turn. Brother Chun, what are you? Chun Jung-min paused, then fiercely rubbed his face and forced a smile. I'm sorry, everyone. Something happened at home. When it's settled, I'll catch up with everyone. Everyone was enlightened. Based on their understanding of Chun Jung-min, even if he didn't do well, he wouldn't lose his composure to this extent. However, looking at him, something must have happened before he entered the exam. They just didn't know if it affected his normal performance. They hurriedly told him to go back quickly. Everything else could be discussed later. Chun Jung-min nodded and left without another word. Not only was his footsteps hurried, but every step he took was very big. He had already noticed the Chun family members who were coming to greet him. Chun Jung-min saw their expressions and understood that they all knew. He clenched his fists. Not to mention the back of his hands. Even the veins on his neck were popping out. Did Li Ryu look for you? Did you go to the Luo family? Although he lowered his voice, it still sounded like the growl of a wild beast. His mother's heart ached terribly. My son, it's been hard on you these few days. Let's go home first, okay? Mother, answer me. Don't talk about these useless things now. Everyone saw that he was insistent. If he didn't get an answer, he would probably continue to be in a deadlock. Mother Chun could only nod with difficulty. What about the engagement? My engagement with Cousin Wan, has it been cancelled too? Chun Jung-min asked anxiously and cautiously. His slightly trembling voice and body were a clear indication that he was afraid. Only then did the Chens realize that Jing-wan was right. If they hadn't told him about the annulment of the engagement directly, they didn't know what he would have done. Everyone's body stiffened and their lips trembled. Removed? Had it been removed? Huh? Mother, answer me. Chun Jung-min grabbed his mother's arm tightly. No, not yet. Your cousin once said to wait until after the court exam. She wants you to do well. If you don't do well, she will ignore you. Obviously, Mother Chun had realized how important Jingwan was to Chun Jung-min. She was trying to mislead him. Sure enough, Chun Jung-min's anger turned into joy. She really said that? Is it true? Did this mean that there was still a chance for a turnaround? Perhaps he was too happy to notice, or perhaps he didn't want to admit that he was afraid. He was lying to himself that he didn't want to pay attention to the Chun family's worries and uneasiness. Chun Jung-min let go of Mother Chen's arm and prepared to leave. "My son, where are you going?" Mother Chen instinctively grabbed him. "Of course I'm going to find Cousin Wan. I think I did well in the exam. Of course I have to share this good news with her." Although the Chun family looked at him and smiled, he seemed even more off than before. However, what was worth being happy about was that his performance didn't seem to be affected. He never boasted about this. "You have the nerve to go in this state? Furthermore, she's most likely still angry. How can she meet you?" Third Old Master Chen was indeed someone who had been in the bureaucracy for many years. Compared to his breakdown state when the incident happened, he had already adjusted and became calm. He even seemed a little cold. Then what should I do?" Chun Jung-min was at a loss again. Third Old Master Chen suddenly realized that it was a good decision to withdraw from this marriage. If a man wanted to achieve great things, how could he be so fickle in love? His elder sister's granddaughter had a great influence on his grandson. If she really married into the Chen family, his son would be drowned in love. What else could the Chen family count on? However, he also knew that now was not the time to reprimand him. The most important thing was to appease his grandson and let him prepare for the court examinations. This was the most important thing. "Of course I'm going home. Wash up and rest well. Prepare for the court examinations. I'll look for her after I get a good ranking." Yes. Grandfather, you're right. Go home. Go home now." The Chun family saw their son walking like a headless fly. They were anxious. However, they had no choice. It was good enough that he was willing to go home. After returning, Chun Jung-min was very obedient. He did whatever he was told and seemed to have returned to normal. In reality, it was just that. The past 2 days seemed peaceful. However, in reality, that was not the case. Luo Peishan had said that he would look for Commandery Prince Chung. It was not as simple as that. As for Luo Peishan, because of his neutral position other than official matters, he rarely interacted with others in private, except for a few people who shared the same interests. Suddenly, he came to Commandery Prince Chung, which could not attract the attention of others, especially since he had been closely watched these days. It would be better if they did not pay attention. Once they did, what Li Ruyu had done would be completely exposed. Ever since Li Ruyu returned home, she no longer had the courage to offer herself to someone to sleep with. At this moment, she seemed to have finally realized that she might have done something stupid. Thinking about what Jing Wan had said, the more she thought about it, the more scared she became. Besides, no matter how domineering she usually was, she was still a spoiled little girl. With all these added together, she couldn't take it and actually had a high fever. In a daze, she only shouted pain, and Luo Jingwan hit me. A royal commandery princess was hit by an official's daughter. This was unacceptable. Commandery princess consort was furious. However, when the servant wiped Li Ruyu's body, Commandery princess consort found that her daughter's injury was not normal. It did not look like she was hit. Thinking of some possibilities, she was scared out of her wits. She sent all the servant girls out, leaving only her trusted nanny. Commandery princess consort was trembling all over. She did not dare to let the nanny check Li Ruyu's body. The nanny naturally knew what was going on. "Master, some things should be done sooner rather than later." Commandery princess consort closed her eyes. "Nanny, take a look." The nanny took off Li Ruyu's pants. With just one look, she was sure that this commandery princess had lost her virginity. It must have happened last night. Also, the other party was ruthless and did not show any mercy to the commandery princess. If Jingwan knew about Li Ruyu's situation, she would not know whether to praise her strong willpower for not showing any signs in front of her or scold her for being hopelessly stupid. "Master, commandery princess." Without the nanny saying more, commandery princess consort had seen it. Her vision darkened and she almost fainted. If the nanny had not been quick enough to support her, she would have fallen to the ground. Commandery princess consort cried uncontrollably and kept saying, evil creature, "Master, now is not the time to cry. You have to figure out what is going on." Who was so daring to do such a thing to the commandery princess? Commandery princess consort came to her senses. Bring the two little bitches who followed the commandery princess out here. Also, didn't they say that she went to Ding General Manor and stayed there for the night? The two maidservants had wounds on their faces. It was obvious that they had been whipped on the way back. At this time, they trembled as they knelt in front of Princess Chung. Without asking, they spilled the beans and told her everything in detail. Commandery princess consort was furious. Her daughter had done such a stupid thing. Not only had she drugged a man to sleep with her, but she had also dared to go to his fiancée's house and ask her to break off the engagement. She deserved to be beaten to death. Moreover, in Commandery Princess Consort's eyes, Jingwan was just a little girl. How could she have hit Li Ruyu so hard? There were no wounds on Li Ruyu's body. Take these two bitches away and flog them to death. Commandery Princess Consort, please have mercy. Oh, their master had done such a disgraceful thing. How could the two servant girls survive? Where is the coachman? Soon, someone came down to report that the coachman had disappeared. No one knew when or how he disappeared. After careful observation, they found that he was a lone widower. More importantly, he was an illiterate mute. He must have been afraid of being killed, so he ran away secretly. Fortunately, he was illiterate and mute. Even if he ran away, he would not reveal this matter. Commandery Princess Consort did not bother to look for him. Moreover, looking for a servant with great fanfare was telling others that something had happened in Commandery Prince Cheng's mansion. When Commandery Prince Cheng returned home, he only knew that his daughter had been beaten. He shouted as soon as he entered the house who had bullied his daughter. He wanted to seek justice for his daughter. Commandery Prince Cheng was a bad-tempered person who could shout at any time. Li Ruyu's whip was given by him. Commandery Prince Cheng was partly responsible for Li Ruyu's temper. He seemed to care a lot about Li Ruyu, but that was not the case. He was just using this method to maintain the dignity of Commandery Prince Cheng's mansion. However, he did not know that the more he did this, the more disliked he would be. This vicious cycle made Commandery Prince Cheng's mansion's position more and more precarious. Commandery Princess Consort had a headache. The population of Commandery Prince Cheng's mansion was relatively simple. However, meeting such a troublesome person did not mean that they could live happily. The little girl is quarreling. Commandery Prince Cheng, please calm down. She did not even have time to cover up such a disgraceful thing. She dared to go to the mansion. Did she want everyone to know? Commandery Prince Cheng could only resentfully give up. However, when Luo Peishan came to the mansion, he exploded. Luo Peishan was naturally angry. Since he did not want face, then don't blame him for being impolite. He sneered, beat her? If this old man had such a shameless person in his family, I would beat her to death. Old man, what did you say? Your good daughter schemed against my granddaughter's fiancé. Who would give her to? Sleeping with a girl in a brothel requires money. Your family's girl, huh? Luo Peishan's mouth was really the same as Jingwan's grandfather. Commandery Prince Cheng was stunned at first. Then he was furious. Old man, you old bastard. How dare you slander my daughter? I will beat you to death today. Luo Peishan knew that Commandery Prince Cheng was such a person. Naturally, he would not go alone. Moreover, there were other unrelated people. At this time, he naturally had to stop him. What if official Luo was hurt? The result of this commotion was naturally brought to Lu Qingdi. After hearing the cause and effect of this matter, Lu Qingdi was also stunned. However, he also knew the seriousness of this matter. It was related to the reputation of the imperial family. There were so many princesses, commandery princesses, and even county princesses in the imperial family. If something went wrong, these girls would be implicated. He immediately gave the order to keep it a secret. However, even so, what should be known was known. Because it was related to the commandery princesses, the empress had to come forward. Therefore, Lu Qingdi directly took people to the Kunyi Palace. After hearing this, the Empress's head hurt. If Li Ruyu had nothing to do with her, it would be fine. However, she was her sister's daughter. If something went wrong, not only would the girls of the imperial family be affected, but also the girls of the Ding general manor, and even the Sun family would be affected. She might even lose her reputation. Not to mention other things, noble consort Su and others would definitely take the opportunity to strip her of her reputation. Fortunately, Li Ruyu had always been notorious. Not many people had dealings with her. The Empress immediately issued an imperial decree for Commandery Prince Cheng's consort to bring Li Ruyu and Chen Zhengmin into the palace. As for the Luo family, Your Majesty, my granddaughter is innocent. If Commandery Princess Yu humiliates her like this, don't let her face this matter again. You don't know. My granddaughter is obedient, filial, and kind-hearted. Many people like her. With her personality, how could she offend Commandery Princess Ruyu? Maybe Commandery Princess Ruyu doesn't like her in some way and came up with such a sinister way to humiliate her. How can she face others in the future? Luo Peishan said with sincerity. His eyes were red, and there were even signs of tears flowing down his old face. The Empress and Lu Chengdi looked at each other in dismay. Especially Lu Chengdi. What was Luo Peishan like on a normal day? He was elegant and dignified. As the minister of the Ministry of Rites, he could be considered a model of etiquette. He had never seen him lose his composure like this before. Your Majesty, we see that Minister Luo is right. This matter is mainly related to Ruyu. Call her over and clarify the matter. Then we can deal with it as we should. Your Majesty is right. But Lord Luo, who is your prospective grandson-in-law? Even if he was schemed against by Ruyu, if he really wants to be with Ruyu, he has to come forward. Your Majesty, you don't know. After the raging Commandery Prince Cheng calmed down and learned the truth of the matter, he was also stunned. Now that his mind was clearer, he abruptly interrupted Luo Peishan. Your Majesty, Lord Luo kept saying that Ruyu schemed against his prospective grandson-in-law. How come it wasn't that brat who humiliated my Ruyu? Luo Peishan sneered. What kind of heavenly fragrance and national beauty is Commandery Princess Ruyu? Is it worth it for him to go out on the eve of the metropolitan examination and do something improper to her? Or is it that your Commandery Prince Cheng's estate is so powerful that it's worth it for him to risk his future to get close to you? Your Majesty, you don't know, but that child is also pitiful. He is the eldest grandson of this subject's younger brother. 3 generations of him are counting on him alone. Yesterday, he almost missed the metropolitan examination. I heard that when he rushed to the examination courtyard, he was in a sorry state. Even the local destitute scholars were better than him. This subject knows about that child's scholarly ability. This year's metropolitan examination is in the bag. Tell me, if this matter affects his normal performance, and he doesn't pass the examination, what should we do? Won't this subject's younger brother's family cry to death? Lu Chengdi coughed lightly. My dear minister, he's a man. It's just one night. It's not that serious. But in order to concentrate on his studies, that child didn't even have a bed warmer by his side. He also hasn't experienced the matters between men and women. What if he was frightened by Commandery Princess Ruyu's scheme? It sounded as if Commandery Princess Ruyu had schemed first, then raped the commoner's man. Luo Peishan's words made Lu Chengdi want to curse. But you can't say that it's impossible. It must be said that this kind of thing happened to one of his brothers, and he was laughed at for a period of time. But it made him very resistant to this matter, and he almost gave up. This was an indisputable fact. It took a year for him to improve. Commandery Prince Cheng was so angry that he stomped his feet. Nonsense. Whether it's nonsense or not, we'll know once we investigate. Enough. But from Minister Luo's words, this person is still in the examination courtyard. If we want to solve this matter, we have to wait 2 more days. But Commandery Princess Cheng and Commandery Princess Li Ruyu have already been summoned. Empress, what do you think? Then let's ask Ruyu first. But now the Empress was in a dilemma. Should she side with Li Ruyu or the Luo family? Li Ruyu was related to her reputation. If she could get her out of this matter and become the victim, it would be good for her. But the Luo family was also very important now. Wait, the Empress suddenly thought of a question. Lord Luo, is your granddaughter the one who made a shocking song in Great Elder Princess's mansion a few days ago? Luo Peishan thought that it was terrible. However, as long as the cancellation of the engagement between Third Young Lady and Qin Zhengmin was revealed, Third Young Lady would also be targeted by many people. But the first person was the Empress, so it was a little difficult to deal with. Your Highness, yes. I see. The Empress nodded with a smile. I also heard that she is indeed a good girl. Then, there was no need to think about it now. It was obvious who she favored. In terms of disrupting the girl's marriage, Li Ruyu did a good job. As long as she completely degraded her, she could maintain her reputation. Moreover, the girl of the Luo family could still find a way to completely control her. Previously, when she knew that she was engaged, it was a pity. Now, it seemed that it was the will of heaven. Is she the girl who is liked by my royal sister? My royal sister also told me that the title of 18 scholars that the girl gave to Yu Yao was occupied by her husband every day. He couldn't wait to stare at her 24 hours a day. Yu Yao couldn't compete with him and cried several times. Lu Qingdi said and laughed. That girl doesn't have any other hobbies except for flowers and plants. Speaking of which, Yilin also likes to play with flowers and plants. The Empress said with a smile. Luo Peishan cursed inwardly. There were many people who liked flowers and plants. Of all people, she had to mention Sun Yilin, an unmarried young master. If he said that the Empress did not have a deeper meaning, Luo Peishan would write his name backwards. What? Luo Jinghua was going to marry Sun Yilin's younger sister. Did she want Sun Yilin to marry Luo Jinghua's younger sister? What if the poor commoners changed their relatives? Absolutely not. Lu Qingdi didn't care about Jingwan's marriage, so he didn't think of this problem. My royal sister said that the girl also took a reward. Did she give it to her fiancé? The third girl directly gave the pouch to me. I did give it to that boy, but he said that someone needed it more than him, so he didn't accept it. Lu Qingdi nodded. He is a man of integrity. 2 days after Great Elder Princess's birthday, Lu Qingdi announced that he would meet the 10 people who wanted to receive the reward on the same day as the palace examination. Soon, Princess Cheng entered the palace with Li Ruyu, who was still a little dizzy. The princess consort of Chenggjun originally thought that after Li Ruyu recovered, she would privately find the Luo family and settle this matter privately. However, she did not expect that it would be brought to the emperor so quickly. She was also glad that Li Ruyu was still ill. At least she could pretend to be pitiful. Not to mention other things, at least she could not let her daughter take full responsibility. Otherwise, when she married into the Chen family, she would not be able to establish herself. However, the princess consort of Chenggjun regretted that she should not have beaten the 2 maids to death so quickly. Moreover, the empress was her biological sister. How could she not help her at all? Before entering the Kunyi Palace, Princess Consort Cheng calmed herself down. Then, tears fell down her cheeks. Cheng-Jun Wangfei was not stupid and did not cry out loud. It had to be known that this kind of crying would attract hatred. In front of the Holy One, if she was accused of being disrespectful, then the loss would not make up for it. She knelt down obediently and saluted. Li Ruyu followed beside Princess Consort Cheng-Jun in a daze. She was quiet. The Empress raised her eyebrows. What's wrong with Ruyu? Your Highness, Ruyu has had a high fever since she came back yesterday. She is still in a daze now. Luo Peishan was a man. Naturally, he wouldn't argue with a woman. Moreover, he didn't expect Li Ruyu to be sick. However, whether she was really sick or a man-made illness, it was worth thinking about. Your Highness, my granddaughter originally wanted to wait for her cousin's results to come out. If he can pass, then we can delay it for 2 days. First, we don't want to affect his exam. Second, we don't want to affect his reputation. Now it seems that Princess Ryu's condition is not very good. We can't explain it clearly. Why don't we wait for a few days? When the time comes, we can call them all together and ask them clearly. I think Princess Ryu will be better by then. Luo Peishan had planned to follow Jingwan's idea. The reason why he went to Prince Chung so quickly was to show his attitude. He wouldn't let this matter go. But he didn't expect Prince Cheng's temper to be worse than the rumors said. Okay, then you can go back first, Lu Qingdi said. Princess Cheng's heart choked. She had just come in and was asked to go back. She couldn't use Li Ruyu's condition to gain sympathy. If she persisted, she would be seen as not caring about her daughter's health. Princess Chung looked at her sister, the noblest woman in the world. But the Empress lowered her head to drink tea and didn't look at her. How could she not understand? Her daughter had been completely abandoned. Chung Junwang, Fei wiped her tears and left with her daughter after a bow. As for Prince Chung, Princess Chung basically pretended not to see him. In the early years, Prince Chung was henpecked. He had no choice. His wife was the legitimate daughter of the powerful Ding General Manor. Many people coveted her. She could have married a prince, but she married the heir of the previous prince. Now, Prince Chung had no power or influence. Everyone said that Lu Qingdi wanted to weaken the power of Ding General Manor. But Ding General Manor was there, and there was also the Empress. If he wanted to do something, he had to think twice. But even so, Prince Cheng's manor had been glorious for a few years. When did it start to show signs of decline? He really couldn't explain it. Just like that, the matter was temporarily delayed. However, more and more people found out about it, and the main reason was because of Jingwan. After the initial pity, people no longer stared at the delicious cake in other people's bowls. But now the delicious cake was placed back on the table in perfect condition. A group of people couldn't help but stare at it covetously, secretly plotting how to get the delicious cake into their bowls. When Sun Yilin knew about it, he smashed the teacup in his hand. He was so excited that he couldn't control himself. God pitied him and gave him another chance. If he didn't grasp it well and let others take it away, he would rather not marry for the rest of his life. As for what his sister was about to marry into the Luo family, under normal circumstances, he wouldn't marry a lady from the Luo family. What the hell was that? It wasn't as if the law didn't allow it. Naturally, he could marry. It had to be said that in an official family, especially a big family, there was basically no such thing as marriage swapping. The main reason was that every family needed a huge network of connections, and in-laws held an important position in it. Between two families, one tie was enough. If there was a second tie, it would generally be necessary to maintain this relationship after a long time and rely on the marriage of the next generation. Of course, there were those who had a good relationship, because the other family had a child that they had watched grow up. Don't worry, this didn't fall under the scope of marriage. Among the same generation, a second tie was a waste of resources. The more outstanding the child, the less such a situation would occur. Other than the Luo and Qin families and Li Ruyu, no one knew that the two of them had already broken off the engagement. They were all waiting for the examination to end, waiting for the results. Therefore, in this strange situation, many people were paying attention to Qin Zhengmin's results. When the results were released, they were even more enthusiastic than the Chen family to see the results. There were a total of 3 red lists for the top 300 candidates. First was the bottom 100. Those who saw or heard their names, even if they were not satisfied with the results, were still beaming with joy. Those who didn't have their names were all anxiously waiting. Or they knew that with their standards, they definitely wouldn't be able to enter the top 200. Naturally, they showed a look of despair, but there was still a glimmer of hope in their eyes. Young master, don't you want to take a look? Look at what? Will the person chosen by Luo Shangshu fall below the top 200? What if he doesn't perform well? Yes, that makes sense. Go take a look. Yes, I'll go now. This situation wasn't rare. Therefore, there were a lot of people looking at the list. Many of them knew each other. When they saw each other, they were first stunned. What was he doing here? Their master wouldn't participate in the imperial examination. Then, they tacitly looked away. It turned out that everyone's purpose was the same. Very good. The first red list that was posted did not have Chen Jingmin's name. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the second red list was posted. Yes, there was still no name. Then it seemed that either his performance was completely abnormal, and he fell below the top 300, or there was no abnormality. On the first red list, they could directly start looking from the front. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the third red list was posted. Then, Chen Jingmin, 5th place. The voice was so loud that it made the scene quiet down for a moment. Then, these 6 words rang out one after another. This made the people who were looking at the list confused. What kind of person was this Chen Jingmin? Even the first place, Hui Yuan, didn't receive so much attention. Oh, it seems that his performance is not abnormal. Then we have to wait for 2 more days. Let's go back to the residence. Therefore, many people around who were obviously extraordinary left. When they met someone they were familiar with, they even greeted them. This scene caused many people to be even more confused. Speaking of which, what exactly was going on? Hey, isn't this Chen Jingmin's page boy? Your young master didn't come? Is he going to look at the list? There's no need to look. Your young master is 5th place. Quickly go back and report the good news. The page boy naturally heard of his young master's ranking. But why were there so many people paying attention to him? Also, after someone said that he was the young master's page boy, the attention on him instantly increased. It was as if he had become the focus of everyone's attention. Who could tell him what was going on? The page boy only felt his scalp go numb. Then he fled. The Chen family was waiting for his news. When they saw him running out of breath, they only thought that he was rushing back to report the good news. How was it? Did you pass? What was your rank? They asked anxiously. Pass, pass, pass. Hurry up and say it. They wanted to beat him up. Pass, pass, 5th place. After saying these few words, the page boy was released. He then took a few deep breaths. The Chen family was overjoyed. Fortunately, he was not affected during the exam. The firecrackers outside the door were set off. The copper coins that were prepared early in the morning were also brought out. Speaking of which, the place they were currently living in was a small courtyard with 3 courtyards that the eldest son of the Chen family helped to set up. It wasn't a place where high officials and nobles gathered, but it was still a relatively small area, and it wasn't mixed with those messy people. Although they hadn't moved in for long, the surrounding neighbors all knew that there was a junior in their family who was good at studying. When the firecrackers went off, everyone knew that there was a high chance that he had passed the exam, and they all came out of their homes to bask in the joyous atmosphere. As for the Chen family, they prepared copper coins and threw them out. At the same time, they hurriedly sent people to the Chen family's first branch and the Luo family to report the good news. All the liveliness and joy seemed to not affect one person. That person was the one who should be the happiest. The page steadied his breathing before running to his young master's study. Just like before, the young master was sitting there reading. While he was reading, his subordinates were also reacting. However, the page steward who had been with him for many years said that there was something wrong with the young master. Young master, you passed the exam 5th place. Oh, he had just finished reading a page of the book and flipped to the next page. Young master, the whole family is very happy. Oh, the page boy swallowed his saliva. Young master, there were many people who were not in the exam today. They seemed to be looking at. What? You. Chen Jingmin looked at the book and did not move. However, the page boy knew that he had taken his words to heart. So, the news has spread all over the city? Then he suddenly threw the book in his hand and even flipped over the desk. He could no longer maintain his composure and became exceptionally irritable. They're all watching and waiting. They're all waiting for me to break off the engagement with my cousin. Do you think I don't know that those bastards are all greedy wolves? Just because my cousin is profitable, they can't wait for me to cancel the engagement with my cousin so that they can take advantage of it. Bastards, bastards. Chun Jung-min was like a madman as he smashed and cursed. The things that Chun Jung-min had always cherished were all smashed and torn by him. Li Ruyu, that bitch Li Ruyu, it must have been arranged by them. They deliberately ruined my marriage with my cousin. Their methods are so vicious, so sinister. They all deserve to die. They all deserve to die. They all deserve to die. Young master, don't be like this, don't be like this. The page boy was scared to death. Naturally, the people outside noticed the reaction in the room and were also frightened. They quickly ran to report to Third Old Master Chun and the rest. When they heard that something had happened to Chun Jung-min, the whole family rushed over. He had been a gentle and good-tempered person since he was young. Now he was about to tear down the house. The great joy they had was gone in an instant. Chun Jung-min's grandmother and mother were crying. What a sin! What a sin! I will go to the Luo family. Third Old Master Chun suddenly said. Old Master, why are you going to the Luo family? Third Madam Chun asked while wiping her tears. Why? The one who started it needs to untie it. Naturally, I will ask that girl to come and persuade him. Otherwise, how can he enter the palace tomorrow and participate in the court examination? Third Old Master Chun said calmly. But now that things have turned out like this, will that girl come? Will elder sister let her come? No, if she doesn't come, I will kneel down and beg them. Old Master, not only Third Madam Chun, but everyone else was also shocked. Enough, get someone to prepare a carriage for me. Third Old Master Chun looked at Chun Jung-min again and turned to leave. When Third Old Master Chun arrived at the Luo family, he really did what he said. When he saw Old Madam Luo, he explained his purpose of coming and was rejected. Old Madam Luo immediately knelt down. Old Madam Luo's face fell. Third brother, do you have to go to this extent? Elder sister, our whole family is counting on Mingir. Do you know how unwilling I was when I left the capital? If I don't see Mingir enter the official career and climb to a high position, I won't be able to die in peace. Elder sister, I am already half buried in the ground. This is the only extravagant hope I have left. Elder sister, please fulfill my wish. Old Madam Luo looked at him coldly. Since you already know that you are half buried in the ground, even if Mingir enters the official career after the court examination, how high do you think you will be able to see him climb? Third Old Master Chen's body stiffened. After a moment he said, Elder sister, are you really not willing to fulfill my wish? Fulfill your wish? How can I fulfill your wish? Just let our third miss persuade Mingir and it will be over? Or do you want us to directly put third miss into your family? What? Mingir slept with the imperial princess. How can it be over just like that? The imperial princess can't be a concubine. So you want third miss to be your grandson's concubine? Elder sister, I didn't think of that. With a bang, Old Madam Luo threw the teacup at him. You didn't think of that before, but when your grandson went crazy, he thought of that, didn't he? Even if we haven't seen each other for 10 or 20 years, I still know clearly what kind of person you are. I originally thought that you would change as you got older. Not only did you not change, but you even became worse. Elder sister, if you don't fulfill my wish, then there is no point in me living anymore. Just let me hang myself on the Luo family's door. Bastard, Old Madam Luo was furious. She stood up and rushed forward, slapping him across the face. Third Old Master Chen's body was knocked askew by the slap. He knelt down again. Elder sister, please fulfill my wish. Men, beat him up and throw him out. Elder sister, you'd rather watch your own brother die and give up the Luo family's reputation than give up a granddaughter. Jingwan had been standing outside for quite a while. She had heard the conversation in the room. She really didn't expect this third granduncle to be so stubborn, decisive, and selfish. The few times she had seen him before, she had thought that he was a kind little old man. Even on the day of the annulment of the engagement, he was still very easy to talk to. So it turned out that it just didn't cross his bottom line. As long as Chun Jung-min was well and there was hope for their branch to recover, he could tolerate anything or not care about anything. But if this point was crossed, would he disown his own family? It was as if he had a split personality, and another personality suddenly emerged. Where did he go? Beat him up and throw him out. Elder sister, grandmother. Jing-won stepped into the room. Don't be angry. I'll go to the Chun family. Third old Master Chun raised his head and looked at Jing-won. There was still blood on his forehead, but there was a smile on his face. It looked particularly strange. Third girl, you're still the most righteous. Jing-won looked at him and suddenly tilted her head, revealing the naivety of a young girl. Third granduncle, don't tell me you think that I'll go with you just because I agree to be Cousin Min's concubine? How shameless is he, and how shameless are you? Between him and the Luo family, I choose the Luo family. Between him and myself, I choose myself. He's your fiancé. A woman should respect her husband. Where are your 3 obediences and 4 virtues? Then he turned around and glared at Madame Luo. Did the Luo family teach such a girl? Ex-fiancé. I've already annulled the engagement with him. Jing-won said coldly. You're engaged to him, so you're his woman. It's the same even if you annulled the engagement. Do you still want to marry someone else? Shameless. Oh yes, your future granddaughter-in-law is shameless. You, what about it? Jing-won's smile remained. Talking back to your elders. Where are your manners? Oh, that kind of thing. It's natural when facing people, but when facing something that I don't even know what it is, I really don't know what it is. Probably because he had never met a girl like Jing-won, he couldn't win against her. So he turned to Madame Luo. Elder sister, you've taught such a granddaughter. It's too disappointing. Madame Luo sneered. She didn't expect her younger brother to become like this. He looked so normal before, and all his bad habits were gone. If she knew that he had become like this, even if she was worried that Wanwan's marriage wouldn't go smoothly, she would never have betrothed Wanwan to Chun Jung-min. Grandmother, I'll go see Cousin Min first. Since things have come to this point, it's better to make some things clear. As for third granduncle grandmother, please bear with it and entertain him for a while. When I come back, if he really wants to hang himself in the Luo family, granddaughter will personally find a rope for him and personally tie the rope to the door. When the time comes, if he doesn't go up, I will have someone hang him up. Jing-won smiled lightly at third elder Chun. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653010. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book, www.bicken.com. Bicken.com Mobile Edition. Chapter 107. Only Mammy Gong followed Jing-won to the Chun family this time. Of course, the groom lurking in the Luo family for a long time was another thing. When Jing-won didn't need him, he was always a groom until Jing-won got married. When they arrived at the Chun family, almost all the people at the gate had left, but from time to time, some people came to ask for luck. Jing-won went in from the side door. When they saw Jing-won, the Chun family members thanked her profusely. Jing-won greeted them politely and smiled. I had no choice but to come. There was already a death threat over there. She was really worried that if she didn't come, this group of people of the Chun family would collectively run to the gate of the Luo family to commit suicide. Well, it should be enough to have one weirdo in each family. It didn't mean that the whole family was weirdo. They heard that Jing-won's words were strange, but it was not appropriate to ask more. It was probably related to the one in their family. Jing-won had been to the Chun family's residence once or twice, so she knew where Chun Jung-min's study was. When Chun Jung-min saw Jing-won, he really seemed to see a living bodhisattva who could save people from suffering and distress. Jing-won waved her hand and sent people outside, leaving only Mammy Gong at the door of the study. Chun Jung-min's anger was vented at this time, but the room was so messy that there was no place to step. Chun Jung-min sat there with his head down. His hair was messy, and he looked like a trapped beast that couldn't get out of the cage. Perhaps he heard a slight sound. "Go away. Didn't I tell you to go away? Who let you in?" "Cousin Min, where do you want me to go?" Chun Jung-min suddenly raised his head. He probably didn't expect it to be Jingwan, and his eyes widened in disbelief. "Cousin, we haven't seen each other for a long time. You shouldn't have grown into a different appearance." Chun Jung-min got up and jumped over in a few steps, with surprise. "Cousin, is it really you?" He subconsciously reached out to grab her arm. Jingwan slightly avoided him. "Cousin Min, please respect yourself." Chun Jung-min also realized that something was wrong and awkwardly retracted his hand. "Cousin, why are you here? Come and take a look at Cousin Min's sorry state." Chun Jung-min's body stiffened. Only now did he realize how rude his appearance was. Unfortunately, he was seen by the girl he liked. He really wanted to find a hole to crawl into and bury himself. He would only crawl out after he cleaned himself up. At this moment, he also realized that his family must have invited Jingwan over. He was secretly annoyed. Why didn't they tell him? He didn't think about it. No matter who came in to talk, he would chase them out. He wouldn't listen to a single word. How could they talk about Jingwan? "Cousin, why don't you sit somewhere else for a while? I'll go wash up and get someone to tidy up the study." Jingwan saw that his eyes were slightly red and thought that he probably didn't rest well. "No need, I'll leave after talking to Cousin Min. Anyway, I've already seen it, so I don't mind looking at it for a while longer. Is Cousin Min awake now?" "What? Of course I'm sober." "Cousin, why would you say that? Are you sure you're sober? Would a sober Cousin Min do such a thing?" Jingwan looked around knowingly. Chun Jung-min was extremely embarrassed. If he wasn't sober before, then after seeing Jingwan, he was definitely sober. "It seems that you're really sober. Then, let's talk about serious matters. Cousin Min, I'm very disappointed to see you like this. However, you're still a child after all. There's still room for growth. Occasionally doing stupid things can be forgiven. In Cousin's eyes, I'm just a child who hasn't grown up." To Chun Jung-min, it was simply a bolt from the blue. "Isn't that so? I'm older than you by 2 years." Chun Jung-min couldn't help but raise his voice by 2 notches. "So what? In my opinion, age only occupies a very small part of judging whether a person has grown up or not. A man should be responsible, calm, and think of a way to solve problems instead of holing up in the house and isolating himself from the outside world. You're so immersed in your own heart that you're anxious and indecisive. You vent your anger on others and ignore those who are worried about you. Which part of you do you think you've grown up?" Chun Jingmin's whole body stiffened from Jingwan's words, but he couldn't say a word to refute. After a long while, he said with difficulty, "In Cousin's eyes, since I'm such a person, why didn't you object when we were engaged? At that time, you weren't like now. You're barely passable. Moreover, I thought that since there were still 2 years, you should be able to grow a little when you come into contact with more people and things. Even if you still can't grow into a real man who can support the heavens and become the support of the family after marrying, I don't mind supporting myself for a few years. If I have my own children, at most, I'll take care of them together. You should grow up one day. Cousin, have you thought about our future? Sometimes you say." Chun Jung-min became cautious again. "Isn't this a matter of course? Do you still need to think about it? Moreover, Cousin Min, isn't your focus wrong? Do you really want to rely on your wife and not let your wife rely on you?" Chun Jung-min stiffened like a piece of wood. "However, the heavens are playing tricks on us. There's nothing else between us except the kinship of cousins. We haven't broken off the engagement, not yet. Why do you have to deceive yourself like this? You should have realized that even if you didn't break off the engagement at that time, there was absolutely no room for reconciliation. Besides, I personally handed the marriage certificate to your mother." It's not like this, Chun Jung-min, don't act like a child again. For the first time, Jingwan called him by his full name. It was also the first time that she called him with a trace of toughness and coldness. And for the first time, Chun Jung-min clearly felt the gap between him and his cousin. Facing her was really like facing an elder who was reprimanding him. Chun Jung-min clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Seeing him like this, Jingwan sighed softly. In your heart, I'm actually not as important as you think. After a long time, you'll forget about me. You should be clear about what's the most important thing for you now. You should learn to face it and learn to grow up. This big family, everyone is counting on you. Can you bear to let them down? Cousin, I hope that you can become a man who can be relied on as soon as possible. Love and love are a part of your life, but you can't treat it as your entire life. I'm not fated to share the future with you. Naturally, I'll become an insignificant part of your life. As for whether you forget or treasure it, it has nothing to do with others. Cousin, is there really no possibility between us? Don't tell me you want me to be your concubine like your grandfather? Of course not. Wait for me for 2 years, at most 2 years, and I can make her disappear. Let that bitch. Cousin, don't think of such a childish and stupid thing again. If we're really not fated, then even if Li Ruyu's matter didn't happen, we might part ways because of other things. Moreover, I'm not interested in being someone's second wife. Cousin, you'll regret it. You'll regret it. Oh, regret what? Regret not waiting for you? Then I'll wait. I'll wait for you to become a minister. I'll wait for you to hold power. I'll wait for you to be surrounded by beauties. I'll wait for them to laugh at me for being blind today. I'll also wait to see if I'll regret it at that time. You must not disappoint me. After all, you have a very important step to take now, but with your current state, it's very suspicious. How could Chun Jung-min not know that he had done another thing that made his cousin feel childish and laughable? Cousin, how could she regret it? Even if, in the future, he really lived a life of luxury like she said, and even if she only ate simple tea and plain tea, she would never regret it. She was his cousin, the Luo Jingwan, the most unique woman in the world. How could she regret it? When she saw him, she would probably just calmly call him cousin, and would not have any other thoughts. I've said all that I should say. I'll go back first. Oh, right, your grandfather is still in our house. He's still making a fuss about hanging himself at the Luo family's door. In his eyes, his unwillingness and ambition are the most important, because you can help him complete it. So you're the most important in his heart. And in his eyes, as long as I'm good, he can completely ignore and abandon me. So cousin, if I marry you, I still have to face such an unreasonable elder. Tell me, should I endure being sullen to death, or disregard everything and anger others to death? Originally, if he had talked to grandmother properly, without those messy thoughts, grandmother would definitely have agreed to let me come to see you. I was also willing to do so, but because of your grandfather's tantrum, our relationship was ruined, and I was forced to come to see you. Everyone knows that being forced and being willing are two different things. I hope you can sort yourself out soon and pick him up. After Jingwan left, Chun Jung-min slowly squatted down, holding his head with his hands, big drops of tears rolling down his face. He didn't want to cry. If his cousin saw him, she would laugh at him again, but he couldn't help it. He knew the meaning behind his cousin's last words. Because she had been forced by his grandfather, she was resentful. Her words were hurtful, and she would not be polite, but he did not blame her. Besides, his cousin might not be wrong. He was just irresponsible. A child in her eyes couldn't give her any support at all. So how could she be reluctant to part with him? How could he make her care, let alone make her admire him? When Li Ruyu schemed against him, didn't she tell him the reason? She did, and she said that his cousin was unbearable. If it were any other man, they would suspect that their fiancé was unfaithful, but he believed in his cousin. His cousin was never that kind of person. He couldn't blame her just because she was outstanding and attracted the attention of other men. This kind of man was the most cowardly, the most incompetent, and the most despised. He hated himself for being so useless and incompetent. He hated himself for being so easily tricked. Furthermore, what made him unable to stop his tears was that even though his cousin was angry, she didn't hate him. Her ultimate goal was still to cheer him up, so that he could participate in the court examinations tomorrow. Even though she said such hurtful words, her heart was still so gentle. He missed out on such a good girl. After sending off Jingwan, the Chen family found Chen Zhengmin crying like a child, but they were still at a loss and didn't know how to console him. Wasn't Miss Luo here to console him? Why did she console him like this? Luckily, third Madam Chen was still rational. Let him cry. It's better than holding it in. Even though it's a little embarrassing for a man to cry, he is still a child. The word child once again agitated Chen Zhengmin. Thus, he gradually stopped crying. After remaining silent for about a quarter of an hour, he finally stood up. His eyes were still red, but the look in his eyes already gave off a different feeling. Mother, get someone to carry water for me. I want to bathe and change. Okay. I'll get someone to prepare it right away. Seeing that he seemed to be normal, Mother Chen was so happy that she cried again, but she quickly wiped her tears. Chen Zhengmin washed up properly, and his entire person was refreshed. However, the warmth that belonged to a youth in the past was probably nowhere to be found. There was a sense of determination and fearlessness. The first thing he did was to kneel down in front of the elders. Zhengmin is unfilial and has caused you to worry. In the future, I will not do this again. I will support the Chen family and be your pillar of support. Good. My good grandson is grown up and knows how to care for others. Third Madam Chen was crying and laughing at the same time. She was really happy now. Chen Zhengmin smiled. So he was really just a child in the past, a child that made people worry. The whole family hurriedly pulled him up. Grandmother, father, mother, I will go to the Luo family now and bring grandfather back. Also, I will apologize to grandaunt and the rest. This is my fault. I can't hurt the relationship between our families. Min Gear, mother, you don't have to say anything. I know what I am doing. Jingwan returned to the Luo family. Her third granduncle was drinking tea and eating snacks. He was smiling and couldn't be more normal. Jingwan originally wanted to provoke him, but when she thought that if he made a fuss, the one who would be angry was her grandmother, she couldn't be bothered with him. Grandmother, I'm back. Cousin Min should be fine. The moment she saw third old Master Chen, her cloudy eyes brightened a little. Madame Luo also didn't want to talk to him. My good grandson has worked hard. Go back and rest. You haven't relaxed for a moment these days, and there are always people looking for trouble. It's okay. I will accompany grandmother for a while. After all, third granduncle is old and not very useful. I asked Cousin Min to come and pick him up. Now, if third granduncle needs anything, I can serve him. For example, hanging ropes, tying knots, moving stools, and letting people cushion his feet. I can do these things best. Madame Luo couldn't help but laugh. She was still holding a grudge, but her anger hadn't dissipated. However, when third old Master Chen heard this, he couldn't help but stiffen. After waiting for an hour, Jingwan kept talking to old Madame Luo. As for third elder Chen, no one paid any attention to him. Even when he ran out of tea, he pretended not to see it. He took the initiative to talk to old Madame Luo several times, but old Madame Luo pretended not to hear him. He knew that he had completely offended his elder sister, so he stopped talking. Chen Zhengmin entered the room, knelt down, and kowtowed 3 times. Zhengmin apologizes to grandaunt. I don't ask for your forgiveness. I only hope that grandaunt won't be angry and won't hurt your health. Madame Luo immediately felt that Chen Zhengmin was different. She looked at Jingwan with surprise. What did Wan say to him that made him change so much? Before Madame Luo could say anything, third old Master Chen couldn't take it anymore. It looked like his illness was about to act up again. Grandfather. Chen Zhengmin looked up at third old Master Chen with a hint of sternness. Grandfather's health has always been poor. It's better for you to stay at home in the future. It's better if you don't go out so much. You. Third old Master Chen probably didn't expect Chen Zhengmin to say this and was angry. Grandfather, the court examination is around the corner. You don't want me to be distracted and worry about your health, right? Obviously, Chun Jungmin knew third old Master Chen's weakness very well. Third old Master Chen sat back down dispiritedly. Grandaunt, grandfather sometimes has a magical illness. If he says or does anything, please forgive him. In the future, I will ask grandmother and father to worry less about me and take care of grandfather more. What he meant was that he would let the family see him. If Chun Jungmin really became tough, then in the future he would have the final say in their family, not third old Master Chen. After all, Chun Jungmin was their hope. As for third old Master Chen, he was really useless. It was good enough for them to take good care of him. Madame Luo sighed. Forget it. He is my younger brother, after all. What can I do to him? You, on the other hand, take care of yourself in the future. I won't say anything else. However, if you encounter any difficulties, you can go to your granduncle. It's just that your granduncle cares about your cousin one more than I do. He's still angry. Thank you, grandaunt. It's right for granduncle to be angry with me. After all, I disappointed him. Don't say so much. Let's just let this matter pass. All right, the Luo family has been very busy recently, so I won't keep you. However, on the day of Jingwa's wedding, we might need your help. It's my duty. Then Zhang Min will take his leave first. Chun Jungmin bowed again and stood up to help third old Master Chen out. Jingwan stood up to send them off. Outside the door, third old Master Chen let his servant help him. It was quiet along the way. Chun Jungmin only spoke when Jingwan stopped sending him off. Even if it's just a part of my life, it's not unimportant. It's the most important thing. I won't forget it. I will only treasure it in my heart. Cousin, no matter if I'm a child or an indomitable man, I won't say things like I hope you can find your ideal husband. Take care of yourself. Chun Jungmin clasped his hands and turned to leave resolutely. Jingwan still squatted and returned his greeting. Chun Jingmin's change was also beyond her expectations. However, Jingwan didn't feel that he was rushing things to help them grow. The burden on his shoulders was too heavy. It would be good for him to grow up earlier. Besides, he wasn't considered young here. When they were far away, third old Master Chen said, "She's like this. If she becomes your concubine, grandfather, even if Cousin Wan's father only has a nominal position, she's still the legitimate daughter of the Shangshu estate. I'm just a tribute student. Even if I pass the court examination tomorrow and become a grand scholar, the best I can do is be a Hanlin Academy editor. What right do I have to make her my concubine? Moreover, even if our positions were switched, I would never make Cousin Wan my concubine, even if I were a noble. I don't want to hear anything like this again. She has nothing to do with me in the future." Jingwan returned to the main courtyard and informed old Madame Luo. "Fortunately, I didn't misjudge Min Gear. If he's like his grandfather, I'll definitely break off this family." It could be seen that old Madame Luo was really angered by third old Master Chen today. "Grandmother, don't worry. The world is so big. There's bound to be some weirdos and scum." "Weirdos? Scum?" Jingwan smiled and didn't say anything. "Granddaughter still has things to do. I won't accompany grandmother. Okay, you can go." When it came to annulling the engagement, it wasn't as simple as returning the marriage contract. She had to give an explanation to the matchmaker as well. There were also a bunch of gifts that needed to be taken care of. However, all of this had nothing to do with Jingwan. She was still a pure and innocent young lady. Not long after Jingwan returned to her small courtyard, her eighth cousin, whom she had never seen before, came looking for her. This eighth cousin was the legitimate son of the third branch. He was Luo Jingying's legitimate younger brother. He was only 9 years old this year. He was even younger than the legitimate son of the fourth branch. It could be said that Madame Lu had spent a lot of effort to give birth to this son. Unlike Luo Jingying, this child was still a normal child. Madame Lu didn't instill any nonsense into him. He was even more innocent than other children of his age. It could be seen that Madame Lu knew that some things weren't good. She had protected her son very well. Why did eighth brother come to third older sister's place? For these innocent and harmless children, Jingwan naturally wouldn't vent her anger on him just because she hated some people in the third branch. Do you want to eat cake or candy? Luo Ba wrinkled his small nose. No. Concubine Huan said that I'm already a little adult. Adults don't like to eat cakes and candy. Although he said so, his eyes were looking at the dishes on the table. Concubine Huan? Jingwan remained calm and collected. She smiled and put a piece of pastry the size of a fingertip into her mouth. Adults can eat it occasionally. Little adults can eat more. This time, the child was no longer polite and ate happily. Eighth brother, why are you looking for third older sister? I haven't seen fourth older sister for a long time. They all said that third older sister knew where fourth older sister was, so I came to ask. He wanted her to plead with her grandmother to release Luo Jingying. She didn't come and let a child come. Sure enough, even if he asked for help, he didn't have the slightest sincerity. He even used a child, waiting for her to be soft-hearted. Didn't your mother tell you where your fourth older sister went? Luo Ba shook his head. Your fourth older sister made a mistake and was locked up by grandmother. Then I'll go and beg grandmother to let fourth older sister out. No, if you go and plead, grandmother will think that your parents asked you to go, and she will be angry. Then, eighth brother, go back and tell your mother what I said. Your mother will know what to do. Oh, I know. Who made this little pouch on eighth brother? It's really beautiful. Jingwan sniffed gently, and her eyes fell on the pouch on Luo Ba's body. Luo Ba hesitated for a moment. I'll tell third older sister. Third older sister, you can't tell anyone. Okay. It was concubine Huan who made it. She didn't let me tell anyone. She said that my mother didn't like her. If she knew that she did it, my mother would beat her. Then, if your mother asks you, who do you think did it? She's my personal maid. Can third older sister see what's in the pouch? Okay. Luo Ba untied the pouch and handed it to Jingwan. Jingwan opened it and took a look. Jingwan didn't recognize it, but it should be a kind of herb, so she put it back. Eighth brother, older sister likes this pouch very much. Can you give it to older sister? If concubine Huan asks, tell her the truth, and then ask her to make another one for you. Tell her not to put anything in it. I'll give you a glass bead to play with. You can put the glass bead in it. Hearing the glass bead, the little guy hurriedly nodded. Under Jingwan's signal, Qin Zhu hurriedly took a glass bead the size of a baby's fist. Luo Ba held it in his hand and looked at it. Obviously, he liked it very much. After a while he asked, third older sister, tell me, concubine Huan is so good. Why doesn't my mother like her? Third older sister doesn't know. You have to ask your mother. Luo Ba scratched his head. I don't dare to ask. Last time I mentioned concubine Huan, mother hit me. Then don't worry about them. That's the adult's business. Now, you should study hard and play when you should. Don't worry about other things. Oh, I'll listen to third older sister. As he spoke, Luo Ba began to yawn and his eyes began to blink. Tired? Then go back early. If your mother can't find you, she will be anxious. Okay, then third older sister, I'll go back first. Luo Ba bowed. After Luo Ba left, Jingwan's face sank. Since concubine Huan entered the third branch, she had made a mess of the third branch and fought fiercely with Madame Lu. If it was just like this, Jingwan would certainly be happy to watch the show. Luo Ba was Madame Lu's legitimate son. He was like the apple of Madame Lu's eye. No one would believe that concubine Huan didn't get close to Luo Ba with ulterior motives. However, according to Madame Lu's ability, concubine Huan took advantage of a loophole and bribed the people around Luo Ba, making Luo Ba like her. Does Mama know what this is? It's a kind of herbal medicine. It's not a problem to use it alone, but if there is another thing around, it may be fatal. The early symptoms were drowsiness. Gradually, nightmares appeared. After that, hysteria appeared. He hit and bit people. The closer he was to someone, the easier it was for him to be attacked. This was because in his perception, these people were the ones who constantly tormented him and made him restless. If he is tortured day and night, he will either be tortured to death or go crazy. Then, in Mama's opinion, eighth brother just didn't sleep well last night, or is this the case? Most likely. It must be said that these people who hurt innocent children are really unforgivable. Didn't Miss already warn concubine Juan? As long as she is smart, she should know what to do. She shouldn't dare to do anything to eighth young master. At most, she will let eighth young master get close to her to annoy third madam. Eighth young master's symptoms are light now. As long as it doesn't reach the stage of nightmares, he will be fine in a few days. Moreover, the other medicine was a concocted medicinal liquid. The taste was very light, and the best time to use it was at night. A drop on the pillow or the quilt was enough. The next morning, no traces could be found. Such a thing was not something that concubine Juan could easily get her hands on. It was most likely related to the prince. However, she probably did not expect that woman to be so vicious as to use it on a child. If she stopped taking the medicine, everything would be fine. However, if she was indifferent to Madame Lu's warning, the prince might destroy this chess piece. According to the prince's intention, anyone who went against Madame Lu didn't need to exist. Although concubine Juan probably didn't know that it was not fate that she met Luo romping, but man-made. However, if eighth brother didn't come today, I would have forgotten about Luo Jingying. Does Nanny know how she is doing? However, she still refused to eat. The old madam didn't care about her. She just asked people to send her food on time. If she didn't eat, she was immediately taken away. After 2 days, she was sent back again. She immediately ate it all. Recently, she has been admitting her mistakes and repenting every day. I hope that the old madam can let her out. People like her still need to be dealt with in this way. Miss, you asked third madam to beg the old madam herself. Are you ready to let fourth young lady out? After being locked up for so long, it's about time. We can't keep her locked up forever. Even if no one pleads for her, grandmother will let her out before third brother gets married. After all, there will be so many people coming to the residence. At that time, there will always be people asking. It's not good to say that she's still sick. After all, we can't wash our dirty linen in public. Nanny Gong nodded. It was good to let fourth young lady out. If fourth young lady was not released, Prince Yu's plan could not be carried out. Fourth young lady was very important. Madame Lu might think that this was a hint from Jingwan, so she really went to beg Madame Luo. Madame Luo did not make things difficult for her. She just said a few words in a neither light nor heavy tone, asking her to teach fourth young lady a lesson when she went back. If there was a next time, she would not be let off so easily. When Jingwan went to pay respects to Madame Lu the next day, she saw Luo Jingying, who had lost a lot of weight. It was in line with her appearance recently when she was sick recently. She looked so weak, as if she would fall down when the wind blew. She was really pitiful. However, Lim Mingya didn't know if Luo Jingying was punished by Madame Lu after she went back. At this moment, Luo Jingying kept her head down and looked quiet. It seemed that she really had a deep reflection. However, no one really knew what she was thinking about. Anyway, Jingwan didn't think that Luo Jingying would recognize her mistake so easily. She hated her when she was in Great Elder Princess's mansion. It was impossible to erase the hatred she had for her in this life. Today is the palace examination. After the palace examination, there will be a parade of 3 candidates who passed the grand exam. If you are interested in going out to see the fun, go out with your brothers at the end of the day. There are many people on the street today. Don't get lost. Fourth young lady, don't go out. Luo Jingying couldn't help but tremble. Yes, her voice was a little choked, and there was unspeakable grievance in it. No matter whether the grievance was fake or real, in short, no one paid attention to her. At this moment, the 300 candidates who participated in the palace examination had been waiting outside the palace gate. Because there was still some time at this moment, they were chatting in groups of 3 or 5. It should be known that among these people, they might be colleagues in the future. After entering the official career, there were 3 kinds of people who were the closest to each other, namely schoolmates, fellows from the same hometown, and fellows in the same subject. Building a good relationship with these people would only be beneficial. There was no harm in building a good relationship with them. Moreover, many of these people had fathers and grandfathers who were officials in the imperial court. If they accidentally made friends with someone important behind them, then they might be able to save many years of hard work. Among these people, Chun Jung-min also had 2 or 3 good friends who he had made after entering the capital. At this moment, they were also chatting with him. Those who were close to him naturally knew that he was the one who had received the most attention yesterday. Speaking of what had happened yesterday in front of the imperial list, it was quite strange. Naturally, there were people who couldn't help but size him up. If there was one thing that stood out about him, it would probably be his youth. He looked to be about 16 or 17 years old, but he didn't show the vigor of a young man because of his good results in the imperial examination. He gave people the impression that he was calm, and the coldness between his eyebrows made people feel that he was not easy to get close to. A person's temperament wouldn't change so much if he hadn't gone through a life and death crisis. It was probably because he hadn't completely changed in a short period of time that he subconsciously felt that others were malicious towards him and were laughing at him. That was why he didn't want to get close to strangers. After a few more days, he would probably not be like this. There were many people in their 30s and 40s among these people. They all couldn't help but think that young people nowadays were really something. If all of them were like this, then these old guys wouldn't be able to survive. Jung-min. Luo Rongwei walked in front of Chun Jung-min. 4th uncle. Chun Jung-min hurriedly bowed. I haven't congratulated uncle. Luo Rongwei waved his hand. There's nothing to congratulate. Your uncle is neither good nor bad. When I received the news yesterday, the family didn't even prepare any money for the wedding. They completely ignored me. Even your 4th aunt rolled her eyes at me. Chun Jung-min smiled. It must be said that the Luo family had been busy recently, and his grandfather had caused a ruckus yesterday. Perhaps not everyone knew about it, but it had wasted a lot of his grandaunt's time. Perhaps the mistress of the family had forgotten about it, so it wouldn't be good to do anything. At this moment, he was a little apologetic. I'm afraid it's because of grandfather. It has nothing to do with this matter. It was your grandaunt who ordered that if you didn't enter the top 50, you wouldn't get a single copper coin. He said that he casually took the imperial examination back then and got the Huiyuan. If it wasn't for his good looks and young age, how could he be the Tanhua? He is the Zhuang Yuan. That old man's face is so thick that even 3rd girl couldn't stand it and said a few words to him. Seeing Chun Jung-min's smile fade a little, he knew that he had accidentally poked his sore spot. Last night, his father had said that there was no need to alienate this kid. He doesn't think that everyone in the world is the same as him. Grandaunt's knowledge is really good. I've benefited a lot from his rare guidance. This time, you have a chance to reach his level. Jung-min will do his best. Luo Rongwei nodded. I'll walk around. You guys talk. After Luo Rongwei left, the people around him hurriedly said, Is this the 4th master of the Luo Shangshu family? Yes. With a minister as his father, I'm afraid that in the future, Jung-min, you won't be bad either. After all, you are the future grandson-in-law of the Luo Shangshu. Brothers Hua, I've already broken off the engagement with cousin Luo. In the future, don't mention this matter again. It will affect her reputation. Why did you suddenly break off the engagement? Is it because of the Luo family? No, it's because of me. The Luo family has been a scholarly family for hundreds of years. They are very kind. It's because of me He was unlucky. He knew that he shouldn't think about it, but he couldn't help but feel sad. It's not convenient for me to say the details. It's just embarrassing. Perhaps in a few days, you will all know. The few people looked at each other. However, a few people who knew about this matter looked at each other. It turned out that he had already broken off the engagement with the Luo family. They thought that he would wait until after the court examination. When the time came, they lined up and prepared to enter the palace. The order of the queue was based on the ranking of the imperial examination. The gong sounded and 2 groups of people entered the palace in an orderly manner. Under the lead of the eunuch, they went directly to the square in front of the hall of supreme harmony. The seats for the 300 people were neatly arranged. There were 6 seats in each row, 3 on the left and 3 on the right. Everyone stood quietly in the middle and waited. One after another, the court officials appeared, followed by the princes and princes. Finally, Emperor Lu Qingdi arrived. Emperor Lu Qingdi sat on the dragon throne in front of him and accepted the worship. Long live His Majesty! Rise and take your seats. After that, there was no more superfluous words. A kind of chamberlain directly distributed the examination questions and test papers. The moment they saw the question, many people were dumbfounded. What was going on? Could it be that they had cheated in the imperial examination? But that's not right. The questions for the court examination were set by the emperor himself. I believe that all of you are familiar with the questions. Anyone who knows about the article written by mad scholar Sun Yilin in the Untitled Pavilion a few days ago would know that today's questions are the same as that day's. I personally believe that Sun Yilin's article is enough to make him the top scorer. Today, I want to see if there will be a better article. If there isn't, the top scorer today will not live up to his name. All right, let's begin. Even though it was the beginning, no one started writing. Not all of them knew about the incident, much less the article. In fact, more than half of them did not know about it. If they knew that this would happen, they would have broken up the article and studied it thoroughly. Now, not only did they not know the content, but they also did not know the style of the article. However, perhaps Mad Scholar was the breakthrough? However, those who knew about it, especially those who had read it on the spot, began to sweat. What on earth did Lu Qingdi mean? The arrogance of that article made them shudder. Did he really want to write it according to that style? But what if the emperor did not mean that? What could they do? After all, how many emperors would like an article that scolded the world? The one with the most complicated feelings was Chen Zhengmin. He had also written an article that day. Moreover, he had a habit of thinking carefully about the questions he had solved. If he were to write another one now, it would definitely be better than that one. Emperor Lu Qingdi's words did not affect him much. Even though he wanted to compete with Sun Yilin, he wanted to write his own article more. This question was too advantageous for him. It was almost like cheating. Speaking of which, the courtiers did not understand Emperor Lu Qingdi's actions. They originally thought that he had suppressed Sun Yilin's article and did not ask about it. This was the end of the matter. Those who wanted to impeach Sun Yilin would not be able to do so. Now he brought it up again and even said that it was well written and that he would be the top scorer. What was he trying to do? Li Hongyuan was very relaxed. In his previous life, this year's court examination also had the same question. However, Sun Yilin should not have solved the question in advance. After all, at this time, Sun Yilin had not entered the officialdom. The examinees were all thinking hard about whether they should write according to Sun Yilin's style. Yilin, write another article. I also want to see what you will write when you are sober. Emperor Lu Qingdi said to Sun Yilin, Yes, Your Majesty. The eunuch quickly prepared the things that Sun Yilin needed. After Sun Yilin sat down, he thought for a while and started to write. He was not an examinee. Furthermore, he had already written so arrogantly. Now that he was writing, he did not need to worry too much. He could just write what he wanted to write. While Sun Yilin was writing, Chen Zhengmin also started to write. Emperor Lu Qingdi drank his tea and seemed to have thought of something. Official Luo, who is your prospective grandson-in-law? Show me. Luo Peishan naturally hit it. Your Majesty, the one in the middle of the first row on the right. Emperor Lu Qingdi raised his head and knocked. 5th in the imperial examination. What a young talent. No wonder you liked him. What is his surname and name? Surname Chen, given name Zhengmin. Qin Zhengmin? Why does this name sound so familiar? I remember now. Yilin, the one who wrote this article with you? His other article was pretty well written. Sun Yilin put down his brush and stood up. Your Majesty, it is indeed this person. All right, sit down. There is no need to stand up. That brat really got lucky this time. If he does not improve greatly this time, even if it is better than the last time, I will kick him into the top 3. How lucky was it to be able to write the same article before the imperial examination? This time, because he got lucky, he was kicked out of the top 3. His good luck turned into bad luck. Many people felt sorry for him. 5th in the imperial examination. Logically speaking, no matter how bad he was, he should be able to get into the top 20 of the top 2. No one thought that Chen Zhengmin would have a big breakthrough. After all, things like current affairs and policy had a lot to do with a person's experience. It hadn't been long since the last time. How much could Chen Zhengmin's experience have increased? Luo Peishan sighed. It was pure bad luck to meet such an emperor. Sun Yilin stopped writing. Finished writing? Give it to me, I have a look. Sun Yilin handed it over with both hands. Lu Qingdi quickly browsed through it. Suddenly, he clapped his hands. Good, worthy of being the first young master in the capital. His voice was so loud that the students below were affected. They all looked up. It would have been better if they did not see it. When they saw it, their hearts skipped a beat. It was getting worse. He lowered his head to look at his own article. The more he looked, the more he could not do it. Start again. Your Majesty, this servant saw that Chen Zhengmin and Chen Gongsheng seemed to have finished writing. Oh? Go, bring it up. I have a look. He passed Sun Yilin's article to the courtiers. Digression. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653014. HTML. There is a chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book, www.bicken.com. Bicken.com. Com mobile version reading website, ambicken.com. Chapter 108. Since Lu Qingdi wanted to read it in advance, Chen Zhengmin naturally presented it to him respectfully. In this imperial examination, if one could write well, then even if the content was not as good, he would still score better than someone who wrote poorly. After all, when the examiners read the papers, the first thing they looked at was the quality of writing. Only if the writing was good would they be in the mood to continue reading. As long as the content was not too bad, there was still hope. On the other hand, if the writing was bad, the examiners would not want to look at it a second time and would probably reject it directly. Thus, no matter how good the writing was, the examiners would not even look at it. What else could one hope for? Lu Qingdi had already read Chen Zhengmin's writing. Naturally, it was not bad. In the beginning, he was rather nonchalant. He shared the same opinion as most of the courtiers. In such a short period of time, even if Chen Zhengmin went down and carefully pondered over it, he would not have improved that much. However, gradually, Lu Qingdi's expression became serious. He could not help but sit up straighter. Seeing Lu Qingdi's reaction, the courtiers looked at each other. It seemed to be a little unexpected. Then, many people looked at Chen Zhengmin again. He was sitting upright with his eyebrows lowered. He was not happy that Lu Qingdi was the first one to read it, nor was he nervous. He was even unmoved by favor or humiliation. At such a young age, was there going to be a second Sun Yilin? Compared to when he read Sun Yilin's essay, Lu Qingdi's reading speed was slower. It seemed that he was still thinking about some parts. Could it be that he wrote better than Sun Yilin? If that was the case, then it was really amazing. Although Lu Qingdi took a longer time, he did not show any joy. It was hard to tell. My dear courtiers, please take a look. Lu Qingdi asked the chamberlain to take the essays to the courtiers again. The court examination was the same as the previous examinations. There was a time limit. As time passed, more and more people finished. Naturally, there were also those who were affected by the lack of mental fortitude. The more flustered they were, the worse they would be, and the worse they would be. It seemed like they would end up at the bottom of the list. Sun Yilan's and Chen Zhengmin's essays had been passed around by the courtiers. Lu Qingdi ordered his men to collect a few more articles. Of course, the closer the article was to the front, the higher the chance of being selected. Lu Qingdi couldn't help but nod at some of them. Luo Aiqing, did Chen Zhengmin ask you about this question? Replying to your majesty, I haven't. Chen Zhengmin had gotten this question from Sun Yilan. Moreover, after learning that Sun Yilan liked his fiancée and wanted to snatch her away, Chen Zhengmin didn't bring this question to Luo Peishan, probably because of his competitive nature. Lu Qingdi nodded. Speaking of which, Luo Aiqing's taste is indeed very good. Dear ministers, what do you think after seeing it? Dear Minister Ruan, tell me about it first. Ruan Ruizong stroked his beard. Although some parts are still immature, there are many original points. Sun Bingbai's previous articles were full of vigor, but some parts were indeed a little too radical. The current article is obviously a supplement to the previous article. Combining the two, there is stability in the advancement and progress in the stability. It is truly rare. As for Qin Gongxing's previous articles, I do not know. Just based on this article alone, it is a combination of novelty and wonder. There is one point that is similar to Sun Bingbai's, and that is, there is no lack of youth's vigor. Lu Qingdi listened to the opinions of others. Naturally, he also listened to the opinions of his sons. In fact, for him, the opinions of his sons were even more important than the opinions of his ministers. Li Hongming's comments were reasonable, but he seemed to be biased towards Sun Yilan. Li Hongming's comments could be regarded as impartial, but he had his own opinions. Not bad. The Gong Prince was more outstanding in military affairs, but in terms of knowledge, he was a far cry from Li Hongyi. The sickly fifth was lying in bed again. Behind Li Hongyuan, the one ranked 7th had no interest in these things. The one ranked 8th had followed the second to become brothers in the netherworld. The two ranked last had only been involved in politics for a short time, so their answers were more or less seconded. The ones ranked last were not qualified to appear here for the time being. Old 6th, what do you think? Lu Qingdi thought he would skip over someone, but he didn't expect that in the end. Lu Qingdi still chose Evil Abyss. Look at his worst sitting posture. He was so lazy and bored that he looked like he was about to fall asleep. Li Honyuan raised his eyelids and slowly stood up. Father Emperor, are you sure you want to listen to this son? Lu Qingdi choked. He really was looking for trouble. He waved his hand, telling him to quickly sit down. Don't make a fool of yourself. Li Hongyuan's face had long been comparable to the city walls, and the ministers had long been used to it, so they didn't have the slightest reaction. Even those who secretly belonged to him had long been used to his two completely different styles. In fact, Li Hongyuan thought that if his father really wanted him to say something, he would be prepared to say a few words seriously. Now, whether it was Chen Zhengmin or Sun Yilan, in his eyes, they were all young brats. To tell the truth, if it didn't involve Wan Wan, these two people might be able to get his attention in another 10 years. Their views and opinions were still far from enough. Lu Qingdi did not rashly decide on Chen Jingmin's ranking. Instead, he asked the courtiers to quickly look through the other candidates. These candidates were all in the top 20. A few of them were popular candidates for the first rank. When the time was up, all the papers were collected. Although the emperor was personally present, no emperor would read hundreds of papers one by one. It was already good enough if he liked 20 papers, and those who needed to be selected by him were usually the top 3. Lu Qingdi asked a few people based on the papers he had read, and then he had a rough idea. In this court examination, the tribute student Qin Zhengmin is the best, but because he solved this question before, he will be demoted. He will be given the 3rd place in the 1st grade and will enter the Hanlin Academy as an editor. The tribute student Xiaorinxuan, although his essay is slightly inferior, it is fair and upright, and has won my favor. He will be given the 1st place in the 1st grade and will enter the Hanlin Academy as an editor. The tribute student Jiang Wei, whose essay is also of the highest quality, will be given the second place in the first grade and will enter the Hanlon Academy as an editor. The rest of the papers will be handed over to the Ministry of Personnel for evaluation and ranking as soon as possible. Top scorer Xiaoran, third place in the general examination. Second place Jiang Wei, second place in the general examination. Third place Chen Zhangmin, fifth place in the general examination. Chen Jingmin's result was unexpected, but his final ranking was expected. After all, he was the youngest and most handsome among the top 10 in the general examination. It was said that the third place was not only judged by one's knowledge, but also by one's appearance. It was said that after every court examination, the most popular person was not the top scorer or the second place, but the third place. Of course, to be able to enter the imperial court as an official, the most basic requirement was to have good facial features. In other words, the officials basically did not have ugly melons and cracked dates. Although the local officials did not have such strict requirements, if they really looked unsightly, it was absolutely not possible. Even if they relied on a solid background and could mix well in a region, they would not be able to become an official in the capital in their lifetime. The court examination was basically over. Great reward for great elder princess's birthday. Is there anyone among you who has the purse? Among the 300 people, there was indeed one person who had a purse. He was sitting in the middle and slightly in the front. He walked out of his original seat with excitement. I'm lucky to have one. Come forward. When the young man walked to the front, Lu Chengdi asked casually. Then he took the purse from the young man's hand, opened it, and looked at the reward written on the note. Go and get all the rewards prepared. Then ask the holders of the other 9 purses to come to the palace immediately. Lu Chengdi looked at the young man who tried to hide his joy but could not stop himself. He laughed in his heart. Sure enough, there were few people like Sun Yilin. Take out his paper. If he can get the second place, put him in the top 10. If he can only get the third place, then let him do whatever he wants. In the final ranking of the court examination, as long as one did not offend anyone, the higher the ranking, the better the job, no matter if one stayed in the capital or was sent to other places. Moreover, there were about 120 people in the second place of the Qi Yuan dynasty. The scholars of the Hanlon Academy were usually selected from the top 50 people, unless one had a special relationship. If one was out of the top 50 people, he or she would not be qualified to enter the Hanlon Academy. Those who are not from the Hanlon Academy cannot enter the cabinet. Although this was not necessarily the case in the Qiyuan dynasty, after all, there were cabinet elders who were not from the Hanlon Academy. In Li Hongyuan's previous life, Sun Yilin was in this situation. However, this was generally a special case. As long as those who passed the Jinshi examination, there were not many who did not want to enter the Hanlon Academy. Lu Chengdi put him in the top 10. In addition, it was a reward from the emperor, so basically no one would make trouble. Therefore, it was almost certain that he would enter the Hanlon Academy. Even if he did not want to go to the Hanlon Academy and chose to go to other places, he had more priority than others. The young man was so excited that he clenched his fists. Many people were envious. Fortunately, among these people, only one had a purse. If there were more, Lu Chengdi would not dare to do this. After all, if there were more people, they would occupy more places for the outstanding ones. Who knew if other talents would be squeezed out by them? Of course, the premise was that the young man could enter the second place. The opportunity had been given. Whether or not he could seize it depended on his own ability. Although the reward could be given to others, if the person was really an idiot, it would be good enough to give the reward in the purse to him. There was no need to think about other benefits. If the idiot was really an idiot and offended Lu Chengdi, he might be punished. The young man's essay was found and read by the minister of the Ministry of Personnel. The old minister had read many essays before. There were good ones and bad ones. It was not the first time that he had invigilated the general examination and judged the court examination. Therefore, he had a rough estimate of all the essays this time. Your Majesty, this man's essay can enter the second place. This time, he was really beaming with joy and was very excited. Perhaps there were some who couldn't understand this feeling, but the adults who had been through this step could understand it very well. To them, a single opportunity was sometimes really important. A single opportunity might be able to change the fate of a lifetime. The other 9 people soon entered the palace. This had nothing to do with the examinees. They could only watch with envy. Some people with a good attitude just regarded it as watching a fun show. Lu Chengdi asked the eunuch to check the notes in the purse and distribute the rewards one by one. Of course, each of the 10 things was precious. Of course, the more important value of these things was that they were rewarded by the emperor. They had to take good care of them when they took them back. This was their real meaning. Someone like Li Hongyuan, who was so used to bestowing rewards that his hands went soft, should not be mentioned in the same breath as him. Lu Qingdi was not in a hurry to give out other rewards. After all, it really depended on Lu Qingdi's mood. Who has the purse taken by Lord Lingluo, the eldest legitimate daughter of Great Elder Princess. Sure enough, Lu Qingdi would not watch his sister be bullied for nothing. Your Majesty, it's me. A young man wearing a scholarly robe walked out. He looked to be about 14 or 15 years old and was even younger than Chen Zhengmin. He had a fair and clean appearance. It was unknown whether it was because he knew the origin of the pouch or because he was ashamed and angry. His cheeks were crimson red and were even redder than a girl who had put on rouge. There was also a trace of stubbornness in his eyes. This person was out of Lu Chengdi's expectation. Lu Chengdi originally thought that the fat man with big ears who looked like a playboy was the one who got Lord Lingluo's purse. Lu Qingdi's first impression of him changed, and his previous bad feeling disappeared a lot. Lu Qingdi asked him some basic information. He was the grandson of Lord Lingluo's mother's sister. This relationship was really distant. Then he asked, "What are you good at?" The teenager pursed his lips and said, "Your Majesty, I grew up in the countryside with my grandmother since I was a child. I know all the farming." His words almost made everyone burst into laughter. Lu Qingdi also laughed, but he did not laugh at him. He just felt that this kid was as straightforward and simple as one of his sons. Seeing that the teenager's face was about to bleed, Lu Qingdi coughed and then stopped laughing. "Go on." The teenager calmed down and continued, "I know that the villagers have a hard time using water. And I know that there is a thing called a water wheel in the south, so I wonder if it can be used in the north. After many efforts, I found the blueprint. After making the water wheel, it was not satisfactory. So I modified it, and the water wheel is quite good. Boy, are you serious?" Before Lu Qingdi reacted, Mr. Zhong, the minister of the Ministry of Works, became excited. The teenager nodded and said, "Your Majesty, I dare not talk nonsense. I asked a carpenter to make a small one imitating the water wheel, and I happened to bring it into the palace. Go get it and let me have a look." Lu Qingdi didn't say anything when he saw his beloved official acting on her own initiative. As the saying goes, there are experts in every field. The small water wheel was not big, only about a foot tall. But after the teenager explained how it worked, Mr. Zhong's eyes lit up. "Your Majesty, this child can enter the Ministry of Works." Even if Lu Qingdi did not know much about it, he knew that this was something that would benefit the country and the people. Good. The teenager could not help but look happy. As long as there was no problem with his family background and he was valued by the minister of the Ministry of Works, his future would not be bad. However, from his actions, it was clear that he had made preparations in advance. In the eyes of ordinary people, the things you do and know are not elegant. How did you think of showing them? Li Hongyuan's voice suddenly sounded. It would have been better if he did not ask. Now that he did, the others also had the same doubts. This commoner's ancestors were also from a scholarly family, but it started to decline from my grandfather's bad luck. This commoner's studies were also disappointing, but my grandmother had high hopes for me. hoping that our family could rise again. Not long ago, my grandaunt sent this pouch. This commoner thought that I was incompetent and originally wanted to return the pouch, but an old uncle came to my home and told me to do so. When everyone heard this, how could they not understand? He had received advice from someone. Li Hongyuan rubbed his chin and said, "This prince is more curious. What are the others proficient in? Did they also receive advice from someone?" Lu Qingdi's curiosity was also piqued. After asking, he found out that half of the 8 people had received advice from someone, and none of them walked the right path. That fat-headed and big-eared young man looked like a good-for-nothing. He really was good for nothing. Moreover, he was a money grubber. However, this person had a special characteristic. He was especially good at reading account books. As long as he knew some basic things, he would be able to find out the slightest mistake in the account book. Moreover, he was also very good at arithmetic. As long as you read out a string of numbers, he would be able to give you the answer immediately. It was accurate and fast. He was simply born to enter the Ministry of Revenue. There was another person who did not look like a teenager at all. In fact, he was not a teenager. He was already in his early 30s. In his early years, he did not have any other hobbies but liked to travel. This time, he had almost traveled all over the country of the Qi Yuan dynasty and even many places around it. He basically remembered all the places he had been to. What county, what prefecture, what county, what village, whatever place he had been to, he could tell you where it was. Moreover, as long as he personally set foot in a place, he could clearly remember the characteristics and terrain of that place. A living map. Li Hongyuan could not help but mutter after hearing this. There was no need to worry about getting lost when marching and fighting. Of course, such a talent was not only used for this. He could be used in many other places. One of them had slightly blue eyes, and the bridge of his nose was higher than the average person. At first glance, one could tell that he had foreign blood. However, the Qi Yuan dynasty didn't care much about this, but it was relatively rare. In the aristocratic families, this was a taboo. If such a child appeared, he would not be welcomed. This person was from the same clan as the top scorer this time. He was also Xie Renxuan's cousin. His name was Xie Renhui. Originally, the purse did not fall into his hands. It was given to another member of the Xie family. He had a good relationship with Xie Renhui. That member of the Xie family was favored by the Xie family, but in fact, he did not have any special characteristics. The person who approached the Xie family suggested to give the purse to Xie Renhui. Xie Renhui's special characteristic was his talent in languages. He could speak many different languages around the Qi Yuan dynasty. He could even speak and understand more than 6 foreign languages, not to mention those who could speak or read. Even the most powerful person in the Honglu Temple would not be able to compare with him. The last person was born and grew up by the sea because his father was an official in a place near the sea. Later on, he even went to the sea. What was his special characteristic, or what he was good at? This commoner has gone to the sea more than 30 times. Everyone more or less fell sick, but this commoner has never fallen sick. Healthy body, what does this mean? After being an official in a place near the sea, this young man was definitely not simple. Li Hongyuan narrowed his eyes. In his previous life, he had sent people to the sea. The first time was the most tragic. Almost all of them were wiped out. Although the situation was much better later on, there were more or less problems. Those who went to the sea several times in a row would fall sick at least once or twice. Although he could not rule out the possibility that this young man went to the sea not far away, it was definitely not a coincidence that he went to the sea more than 30 times. After summarizing, he found that these people did not think that they were bad at first. Only Xie Renhui did not have a chance. Now that he had a chance, he was enlightened by someone. They were all really talented, great talents. The other people who were not enlightened were all people who relied on reading. They were not very outstanding. before the characteristics of people who walked the crooked path were discovered and were not valued. The scholars seemed to despise the crooked path. But now, those scholars showed their mediocrity. They did not have the good luck of that scholar. At most, they were in front of Lu Qingdi in name and waited for the imperial examination in the future. But at least 3 years later, would Lu Qingdi still remember who they were? Maybe there would be a new person on the throne. Who is the person who enlightened you? As the saying goes, a horse of 1,000 miles is common, but a Bolu is not common. It was a pity that such a Bolu was buried in the dark. Not only Lu Qingdi wanted to know this question, but other people also wanted to know this question. Your Majesty, although this commoner is not sure, this commoner has a guess. The chubby young man said, "Tell me quickly." This commoner was curious at that time. After asking and getting no answer, I sent someone to secretly follow that person, and that person finally entered the mansion of the Minister of the Ministry of Rights, Lord Luo. Luo Peishan, who was waiting for the answer with interest like others, did not expect that it would fall on his head. While Luo Peishan was still a little stunned, almost everyone's eyes fell on him. "Minister Luo, Your Majesty, it was not me." Luo Peishan did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Your Majesty, it was the third miss of the Luo family who proposed the 10 rewards. So was the person who gave the suggestion also sent by the third miss of the Luo family? When the third miss of the Luo family made the suggestion, she was not selfish at all. After all, with her status, she probably just gave the suggestion to Great Elder Princess and did not expect to be agreed. She just did not expect that Great Elder Princess would agree." Xie Runhui lowered his head slightly and said, "Even so, she thought more than others and was more selfless." Is there any reason to believe that she thought more after the event, more than others could think of? Hearing this, many courtiers nodded. It should be noted that all the important courtiers present had attended the birthday banquet of Great Elder Princess, so they definitely had a deep impression of the third miss of a Luo family. "Oh, Minister Luo, you don't know anything about this matter?" "Your Majesty, I really don't know anything about it." Luo Peishan now wanted to scold Jingwan even more. "My dear granddaughter, you have made a big noise, and a large group of people have been watching you. Can't you stop? Do you really want me to be surrounded by a pack of wolves?" Well, in fact, it was already surrounded by a pack of wolves. In fact, it was really Jingwan who did this. It was just 10 pouches, because they had to find the emperor to receive the reward. The range of the reward would not exceed the scope of the capital. It was not difficult to know who the 10 pouches ended up in. Spending some effort to find out the situation of these people, as well as the situation of the people around them, was not difficult. However, it was difficult to know the specific situation of those who were promoted in this way, compared with those who were not very outstanding. So, it was not appropriate for Jingwan, a girl of the boudoir, to inquire about the situation of a group of men. Even if her intention was good, if it was spread out, she would definitely be criticized. In addition, she did not want to let others know, so she naturally acted carefully. First, she listed the situations of these people one by one. Those who did not need to do anything, those who could be privately persuaded to give to others, and those who probably did not realize that their abilities were actually very useful. There were 5 of the first situation, 1 of the second situation, and 4 of the last situation. It could be said that it was very tiring. Then, she asked Nanny Gong to arrange for trustworthy and inconspicuous people to visit them one by one without attracting the attention of others and analyze the situation for them. It could be said that it was tiring both mentally and physically, and she also had to bear the risk of damaging her reputation. It was a typical case of doing good deeds without leaving a name. Nanny Gong also asked her why she did this. It's probably because she wanted to finish what she started. Her original intention was to give some people a chance. Since this opportunity really exists, naturally, she should not waste it. Moreover, isn't it good to let the country have more talents? Good, of course it was good. In Li Hongyuan's previous life, he knew that Wan Wan was a righteous person. If given a chance, she would do a lot of things for the Qi Yuan dynasty, and she would definitely not do worse than any man. In other words, women were better than men. She quietly did not seek fame or benefits, but how could Li Hongyuan agree? If it was just Nanny Gong who inquired about it, naturally, she would not get accurate information so quickly. However, he handed this matter over to the secret guards and directly handed it over to Nanny Gong, and did not report it to him. Therefore, without him knowing, Wanwan really dug out a few talents. It seemed that small people could not be ignored and must be valued in the future. As for her reputation, as long as Lu Qingdi said well done, who would dare to criticize her? If Li Hongyuan wanted to raise her to the highest position, naturally, he would not just let her have an empty title. He wanted the whole country to really respect and admire her, both inside and outside the court. It was not only because she could subdue Li Hongyuan. In fact, he did not need to fabricate anything for her. As long as he gave her a chance to show off and let the world know what she had done, then when the time came, she would naturally be able to sit on the throne. Luo Weiqing, when will you let me see your granddaughter? Your Majesty, you can see her at any time. However, since the emperor had personally summoned her, she could not stop. Good, very good. Lu Qingdi was very happy. Luo Weiqing, I remember you said that you dealt with your granddaughter's purse. Who did you give it to in the end? Luo Peishan glanced at the 9 people, and one of the scholars stood up. Your Majesty, it was this commoner who did it. Lu Qingdi looked at him, and then looked at Luo Peishan. Luo Weiqing, your eyes are far inferior to your granddaughter's. Luo Peishan apologized again and again. Originally, he wanted to give a mediocre person a chance. If he had known that his granddaughter would find another way, he would have specially looked for such a strange talent. This person was the child of one of his younger brother's favorite disciples. When he first came to the capital, he asked him to take care of him. However, this child was really mediocre. It was not easy to get such a chance, but it was a bit self-defeating. But could he blame Jingwan? Of course not. In the end, she did not choose the owner of the purse. She just chose a fine horse among the horses that others did not think highly of. If it was not the owner of the fine horse, how could you blame Bo Lu? However, if there was no fine horse, everyone would have an equal chance. They would either advance or retreat together. Now, there were 6 people advancing and 4 retreating. On second thought, if it was not for Jingwan's initial proposal, they would not even have the chance to appear. In the end, it was up to them whether they felt resentful or grateful. And the person who received the Luo family's purse was also very ashamed. His face was red. It is a waste of Miss Luo's good intentions to let you go back like this. The 4 of you are all scholars. One of you failed this year, and the other 3 did not take the exam. How about this? I will allow you to study in the Imperial College for 3 years. After 3 years, it will all depend on you. Originally, they thought that there was no hope. They did not expect to be surprised at the moment of despair. There were 3 kinds of students in the Imperial College of the Qi Yuan dynasty. The first was the children of officials of the 4th rank and above. From the 4th rank to the 3rd rank, the family could send 1 person. For those of the 2nd rank and above, the family could send 2 people. The second was the children of nobles. The so-called students who relied on their father's title to obtain the opportunity to enter the Imperial College could send 1 to 5 people. The third was a group of outstanding scholars in the capital. There was a limit to the number of places. Although the first 2 places could be given as a gift, how many people would give such precious places to ordinary people? After all, there were many children in every family. It could be imagined how difficult it was to enter the Imperial College. The Imperial College was naturally the highest educational institution in the Qi Yuan dynasty. Whether it was the quality of the teachers or other aspects, it was absolutely top-notch. It could not be compared to the Imperial College. If they could enter the Imperial College for 3 years, they would definitely gain a lot. Thank you, Your Majesty. There is no need to thank me. You know who you should thank in your hearts. All right, let's stop here. The next highlight of the show was naturally the parade of the 3 people who passed the first-rank Imperial Scholar. Because it was much later than the previous years, the designated parade streets were already crowded. Everyone stretched their necks, waiting to see the glory of this year's Imperial College. Was the top scholar tall and handsome? Was the second-place scholar with a white beard like 3 years ago? As for the third-place scholar, it was said that the third-place scholar was the most handsome. The one from 3 years ago was not very satisfactory. Digression, I have something to do today, so I will try to write less and strive to write more tomorrow. It's a new month, so don't be stingy with your monthly tickets. https://www.yangwaiwo.com/11/11807/6653019. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book, www.yangwaiwo.com, Bikuga mobile reading website, yangwaiwo.com. That you're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.